The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to our pre-live training connection couple of minutes. I want to just welcome you first and foremost to, there we go. I just want to welcome you first and foremost to our call. If you would do me a favor and just let me know by typing a little note into the questions that you can see my screen, you can hear my voice, you're ready to learn how to rock your world with Masterminds. So give us a little type in the, hi, there we go. Great to see you, Ross. Gang, there we go. And now it flies in. Yahoo. Well, that is fantastic. Denmark is on the line. Well, welcome, Denmark. That is fascinating. Just out of curiosity, what time is it in Denmark? I know we've had people from literally all over the world on the first two calls, and people up at 3 in the morning and those sorts of things. Are you one of the early risers? 10 p.m. So it's not too bad. Okay. And we're getting pretty late in Europe as well. Fantastic. Okay, well, we have people from all over the world. We got about 15 minutes prior to starting our training. And I wanted to be of service to people and assist in terms of questions. And I got to tell you, holy doodles, have we had questions, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. Some of you, we've had some time to do some personal replies for. Many of you just had themes that I promise that I will respond to in our training. But here's the thing. You got me for 15 minutes. I am happy to serve and support, and feel free to ask away. Now, we can do this in two ways. The first of which is, of course, to type something in the questions area. The second of which is just raise your hand. I will unmute you and you can ask me. Now, you can see the screen at the front there. I just want to also let you know, if there's anyone else in your world, because most of us coaches, trainers, authors, experts know one or two other people in that realm and in that world. If there's anyone who you know is struggling with their business that wants to launch Masterminds, for goodness sakes, just take that little link where it says mastermindtomillions.com/live training and invite them to join us. They got 15 minutes. Shoot them a text. Tell them this will be a game changer in their life, and it will. And you'll be doing them an epic favor. So on that note, let's jump into a couple of questions. Ross says, perhaps a dumb question, but what's a mastermind? I've not come across the term before. So that is something that we're going to answer in the actual webinar itself. But here's the long and the short of it. The term was created by a gentleman named Napoleon Hill, who, of course, wrote Think and Grow Rich. What it really is this. It's a small group of people who come together to serve, support, lift one another and help one another to create their dreams. And it is really a process whereby, they talk of it in this way, is that whenever two minds come together to work on a particular problem or to solve a particular issue or to support a particular person, a third mind exists. And I'll talk about that in much greater depth and detail as we go along. But it will make more sense and it'll be perfectly clear before the thing is done. Like a group, like a focus group / shared training, yes, Ross, the distinction would be that a lot of the resources, the insight, the wisdom, the network comes from group members, not necessarily a teacher, trainer, or guru at the front of the room or at the or in the circle, if that makes any difference to you. We'll talk about it a lot. Yes, I like it. It's a beautiful, yes, oneness. You hit the nail on the head. And what we teach and train and serve and support people to do is to create the environment, the context, the space for those things to work over a long haul in a sustainable manner. All right. Who else here has a question that we can jump in? Murray from Calgary says hi. Anybody from Murray? Anybody from Murray? Anybody from Calgary is a good person. That I might be painting with a broad brush, but I am from Calgary, so welcome, Murray. So what else can I serve and support you with? And again, I'll just ask you, if you want to assist other people and someone else who should be here, send them the link down in the little chat window. You will see that link is live and it's at mastermindtomillions.com/live training. Send it off. We'd sure appreciate that, as would the people who will come to learn. So I'm trying to get to where I see hands. The big question that we've seen umpteen times: how do I fill a mastermind? Well, first and foremost, I'm not really sure who asked that question. There's so many flying in here, it's tough for me to see here, just to be clear. We're a little packed on the lines and will be. So how do you fill a mastermind? First and foremost, I'm going to strongly suggest to you that you make sure that you watch our third video and download the manual called Fill Your Masterminds with Ease. There's a 22-page step-by-step guideline that really boils down to developing meaningful relationships, contributing value, demonstrating your leadership capacity. Those are all the mechanics of it. But I want to be really clear, and we're going to talk about this today. The very first piece for filling a mastermind is you have got to position yourself and your group properly. Over and over again, I hear and see people who are trying to market a mastermind or trying to gain mastermind members. And by the way, we're going to talk about this a lot today. And they haven't got a positioning statement for you. They haven't gotten a positioning statement in a way that really, number one, defines what their unique value proposition is, nor does it actually create an attractive result or experience or outcome for the group that makes people want to play. Miss Lynn Macquarie, I am from Saskatchewan originally, but it's been 28 years of Calgary. Welcome, good to see you here. So I want to be really clear about this. If the challenge or the core of your question is, how do I fill the mastermind? In 95% of the circumstances where I'm supporting someone, is that that's really the wrong question to ask. The first question that, or the first issue that even causes that to be a problem, is that there has been a lack of positioning. So again, I'm going to ask you to go back to video 3, where I ask you to do some of the basic positioning of you. We don't even really talk about the positioning of the mastermind, but that's something we do in great depth and detail in our program, and get those things perfectly nailed. And then it tells us who our members should be. And then we provide an entire strategy to get those members into meaningful conversation and intimate connection. So this is a great question. I see another one, which is, I'm just training to become a coach. Will this even work if I'm new? Thank you. So Emily, honest to goodness, this will work better if you're new. And what I mean by that is time and again over the past 25 years. I've been doing this for a really long while. And by the way, I'm just getting a flag here. I got to back up because sometimes I can get carried away with questions. I want to just remind any of you, if there's someone, for example, that you're taking your coach training with that you think should hear this, Emily, please invite them along to the mastermindtomillions.com/live training. We'd sure appreciate it, as would they. So you have a better shot at doing this really well at the beginning, because what happens is that coaches who finish coach training and dive right into what I'm going to call the one-on-one or time for money model, they struggle, and they struggle epically. And honest to goodness, if I could, wave a magic wand for every beginner coach in the universe, I would say this: your first task as a coach is to build a small mastermind where you develop community, where you develop connection, where you have this foundation of consistent income. So you're not, oh my God, I got to get a coach to pay the rent. I got to get a client to pay the rent. You have this foundation built. And when that foundation is built, then you can be far more selective, strategic, and wise about the clients that you take. So most certainly this can work right at the very beginning. If I think it should be one of the things that we teach people out of the gate, not just here's one little strategy. This should be a foundational component. Miss Sheila Jagger, great to see you again. How are you? Who do I need to be successful in conducting mastermind groups? Jermaine, I got to tell you, I just so love that question. Now, again, I'm going to take a brief moment. I just got to make sure that we're being on time. And gang, just so you know, we will start exactly at 1 o'clock. So we got 7 minutes for questions. I'll go as fast as I can. For those of you that are jumping on the line now and you're wondering what's going on, this is our pre-live training conversation where I'll answer questions right up until 1 o'clock, and then we will jump into our live training. But I think, Jermaine, you may well have asked one of the single most important questions that people miss, which is, how do I put this? If you're going to successfully run a mastermind, you must be the leader your tribe wants to and is willing to follow. And I'm going to say that again. You must be the leader that your tribe wants to and is willing to follow. Because the honest to goodness truth about this, again, going back to, I see people attempting to run masterminds, and the truth of the matter is that they're often running masterminds where they're not the most obvious leader. So this is where you've got to be clear about, what is your area of expertise? What is this unique value proposition that you bring to this group? How is it that you have the experience, the space, the context, the consciousness to actually lead these people in a clean, clear, and powerful way? And I want to be very clear about this. I don't mean lead as in, up on the stage and in front of everyone. I mean lead from the position of integrity, respect, engagement, role modeling, like all of those pieces. And in my humble opinion, I'm going to share a bunch of strategies and conversations and all those sorts of things with you here today. I sometimes hear people and they'll say, well, I did that and it didn't work. Well, I did that and it didn't work. And I have a mastermind, but I can't get it off the ground. And, what I can tell you in every circumstance in those pieces, when I get to have a more meaningful conversation with that person, they have not done their personal work. They've not become the leader their tribe wants to follow yet, which doesn't mean that they shouldn't be running a mastermind. It means they've just got some work to do. They need to engage with someone or something that will shift their context. And I'll talk a bunch about how that can play out. So I could go on a long time about that, Jermaine, but I love the question, and it is one of the most important under the sun. Hey, Stephen from Ottawa. Hello, hello. How does someone build a mastermind before having an email list? Great question, Cecile. Have you watched the third video, and have you downloaded the Fill Your Mastermind with Ease manual? Because I'm wagering that you have not in terms of that question. So I really want to turn you back to that resource, because the truth of the matter is that you do not need an email list. You need, number one, positioning of you, positioning of the group. That will inform you who your group is going to be. And then you go out and you build relationships with people, not sending emails. You build relationships with people, and you'll be stunned and amazed that that's the only one I haven't had time for. So, well, that makes sense in terms of the question. But we provide you a step-by-step map right then and there, and look at it. But think of it from this perspective. Instead of sending emails, what you really want to do is build relationships. So again, gang, for those of you that are jumping on, and we've got many, good God, we're packed. So for those of you that are just jumping on now, I would just want to remind you that this is our pre-training conversation and our pre-training Q&A. We're going to start exactly at 1 o'clock. If there's anyone in your world that you think could benefit from these conversations and learning how to manage a mastermind, then I want you to please invite them. You can use the link down in the little chat window. It is mastermindmillions.com/live training. And we would love to be of service to any of those people as well. So we got time for just a moment or two more of questions, and I will go through them real quick. Jay, how do I found a mastermind that mainly happens over the phone versus face-to-face? Short version is this. With today's technology, I'm not a real big fan of the over-the-phone process. I have run remote masterminds using Google Hangouts, and I am a huge fan of Google Hangouts. The online training, the Launch Your Mastermind 90-Day Bootcamp, actually has training components on how to use Google Hangouts for this particular process. It is as close to live as I know how to get while using technology. And really, one of the beauties of technology today is that we don't have to, and this is the thing, we don't have to do it face-to-face anymore. We have these vehicles that are somewhat magical, to put it frankly. So you can still build those relationships. You can absolutely use a phone. I know people who do use a phone. It's just I find that a little bit challenging in terms of the degree of intimacy and connection that I like my masterminds to have. So I would suggest, use a tool like GoToWebinar, use a tool like Google Hangouts. That one's free. There's lots of ways to go through that process. Will this webinar be offered again? It will be offered tonight at 7 o'clock. We have been doing four live trainings this weekend. This is number 3 of 4. And then after the 7 o'clock one, I am going to sleep for a week, I think. All right, gang. So we are getting close to getting rolling here. In your third video, do you also talk about how to build a relationship when starting a new niche? Honestly, Cecile, not a ton, but that is a powerful question. And what I love about it is that you've got to be clear about when I get my niche, when I understand my unique positioning, then I need to build relationships with people that are interested in that niche, and it directs your energy in a powerful way. So not a ton of detail in there. It's more about the mechanics of running intimate events, but you're on the right track already, I can tell you by the question. In the mastermind group, should I be the most well-versed one? I don't think that's necessary. It's one of the beautiful parts, Ronald, of bringing together a brilliant group of people. I think you need to be the most skilled in terms of leadership. You need to hold the context. You need to know what you're doing, which I'm going to teach a bunch of that stuff to you guys today. But you certainly don't need to be the sharpest knife in the drawer of the mastermind. That's one of the beauties of masterminds. All right, gang. So we are at 1:00. I want to just give you one final reminder, which is this. Feel free to share this with anyone whom you think could benefit from this process. Send a quick little note. It is mastermindtomillions.com live training, and let them know that if they want to run groups, this is perhaps one of the single best ways to find out how to do it, what it takes, what some of the trouble spots are, and all of that fun stuff. So a couple of things, just so you understand, we have an inordinate amount of ground to cover. How this is going to go is that I will motor through material. My team will be answering questions as best they can along the way in terms of the chat. I will also be here, and at the end, we'll hang out and we'll answer questions to see how we might serve and support you, and what else actually is going on for getting this rolled out in your world. And that's how that will go. If there's a question that's exactly pertinent to what we're talking about, I'll do my best to answer, because I do genuinely want to be of service to you. But honest to goodness, quite literally, our webinar lines are completely packed. We had to upgrade to a whole new level and package. And sometimes it's hard to see the number of calls, the number of questions, because they fly in really hard. So please know we are not ignoring you. It's just there's an overwhelming number of people who want to learn about this, which I find incredibly exciting. But we will do our best to be of service. And if you have questions that don't get answered in the middle of it, hang out at the end, and I'll hang out for about a half hour and do everything I can to support you to get this up and running. All right, my friends. So here we are. I want everyone just to take a moment or two and take a deep breath in and exhale. And I want you to start this webinar, this live training, with this fundamental reality, is that building your practice, growing your business, I guarantee can be more fun, it can be easier, it can be more enjoyable, and you can do it working with people that you genuinely love. And that is the promise of a great mastermind. Now, not only can it be a whole lot easier, it can be more profitable with less work, and you can have greater contribution as long as you set it up appropriately. So I want you to hold on to this piece, that if you're having a bit of a struggle, or you're worried about the next client, or how you're going to get somebody, or somebody didn't renew, or any of those things that happen in the one-on-one model, and you're a little bit stressed and worried about it, I want you just to know there's an easier way. So on that note, do me a favor, in terms of the little chat window there, how many people here are ready for an easier way? You'd like to have more fun. You'd like to make way more money. You'd like to contribute way more value. You'd like to do it with people that you love and look forward to going and working with and spending time with and being with. So if the answer to that question is yes, I want you just to type in, yes, I'm ready. I want to do that. Bring that on. So let me know that you're in the right spot here. Yahoo. Namaste. I love that. Bring it on. Beautiful. Okay, so you are all in the right spot, and I'm going to do my very best to serve and support you to make that a reality. Okay. So before I do that, though, it's cool because I've ran across, in terms of the long list of people here, I've ran across at least 4 or 5 people that I know and that have been in my world before. Hello, Ada. I just saw that pop up. Been in my world before, but there's a ton of people who don't have a clue who I am. So let me just give you the brief rundown so you get a sense. So that is a picture of me. That is how I look. That isn't from 1972. I am a multitude of things. I've been in the personal transformation industry for over 25 years. I have served and supported over 40,000 people in personal transformation work. By looks of things, 5 or 10 people on the line here who have done my work over the years. I'm the author of a best-selling book called Reframe Your Blame: How to Be Personally Accountable. And I want to just start here by actually giving you an additional gift. Now, quick question, in terms of people who watch the content, first and foremost, how many people actually watched, well, I'm not going to say all 3 pieces, I know you're busy. So how many people actually dived into the content, did the work, found it valuable? So tell me, did you enjoy the content? Was it serving and supporting you in terms of what it is you're working on and how all of those pieces played out? Hey, Carol, I have your picture in this slide presentation, Carol, just so you know. So you got to stick around to the end because I show and tell your story. The download was really good. Yes, absolutely. Very valuable. Launched my mastermind. Yes, it did launch your mastermind. At the end, Carol, I want to really unmute you and hear your version of the story, not just what you sent me. That would be fantastic. Useful, interesting. Find out more. Okay, so it's a start so far. Absolutely, you got to get all the way through. So my point is this: is that those three pieces of content are solid. But if any of you are doing coaching, and this is personal development coaching, this is business coaching, any of those things where you're having some challenges with your clients stepping up and facing themselves and breaking the old patterns and doing what they say they're going to do, I want to strongly recommend that you go to my website, which is this is my blog here, jfazette.com. On the right-hand side, there's a little opt-in box. When you fill that in, you will get a little e-course and a complimentary copy of my best-selling book called Reframe Your Blame: How to Be Personally Accountable. And straight up, I just want to give it to you because I know if you're in that world, the resources and the tools in this process will knock your socks off. It is really, really exceptional. Even if I didn't write the book, I would tell you that it is some of the best work ever done on the topic and the idea of personal accountability and how to get out of blame, victimization, stuck, all that stuff, and into action, living your mission in life. So get that, use it in your coaching, use it with your clients, use it with yourself, for goodness sake. It'll make a big difference. Now, on that note, don't just take my word for it. Here's a couple of gentlemen you may know. Jack Canfield, here's what he said about it. Reframe Your Blame, step-by-step guide that will help you to apply the first and most important success principle. Take 100% responsibility for your life. This book will raise your vibration, clarify your mission, and support you to genuine personal accountability. Brian Tracy, love him. Amazing statesman in my humble opinion. That this powerful practical book shows you how to liberate yourself from perhaps the greatest of all burdens to success. The long and the short of it is this: it's just one more way in which I want to serve and support you, because I know this is one of those core drivers for you and your clients that'll make a difference. Anyway, I tell you this for no other reason than, if you don't know me already, what I think you do need to know is that this is not my first canoe trip. I didn't just make up, we should run masterminds because I read Think and Grow Rich 3 weeks ago. I have been leading versions of masterminds for over a quarter century. They weren't always called masterminds, but in the personal development world, dealing with groups, helping people work together, I've been doing it for a quarter century. I know how this goes. I run them really well. I have frankly trained more coaches and facilitators than you can shake a stick at. Literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So, short version, what I'm about to say to you today is the compilation of 25 years experience. Don't learn it the hard way, learn it the easy way, and let me help you. Someone is just saying, how do we get that bonus? Just go to the jfazette.com, input, there's a little opt-in box there, input your name and email, and you'll get a little free online course, and you'll get a digital copy of that book. So help yourself there, Gene. Glad that works. Okay, so let's keep moving and shaking. We got a lot of ground to cover. So I want to tell you a little bit more about me, particularly in relationship to masterminds, because I think that this is one of the most important things under the sun. First and foremost, I'm a member of several mastermind groups, and I want you just to be clear that, again, I value what I'm talking about and I live what I am saying to you. I'm a member of the Association of Transformational Leaders. That, by the way, is a sort of a spin-off from the TLC, the Transformational Leadership Council, that Jack Canfield started years ago. I'm actually in San Diego right now at Christian Michelson's JV Summit, which is kind of funny. I'm at a JV Summit Mastermind while I'm teaching you guys about masterminds. I'm a member of a dear friend of mine, Tom Matson's Strategic Alliance Summit. All of these are masterminds that I engage in to serve, support, continue to grow, learn, and evolve. At the same time, of course, I also lead a variety of masterminds, one of which is the Online Business Breakthrough, where we help sort of bricks and mortar type businesses generally, and sometimes coaches, trainers, authors. I have all kinds of people in that, by the way. They run football schools. They own physical sex shops in Canada, where you go buy toys and romance and all that stuff. So construction companies, like everything. So I do that. I have something called the Banff JV Summit I'll tell you more about, where we come together semi-annually in Banff, a group of business owners and movers and shakers. I also do the Launch Your Mastermind Fast Track. That's for people who are interested in getting masterminds up and running and want some one-on-one support to make sure that it happens fast and properly. And then I also do a Launch Your Premium Program Mastermind. So I really believe that being on both sides is vitally important. Now, I am kind of curious because every group is a little bit different that we do these trainings with. So, how many people here are either already delivering a premium mastermind program, or they want to deliver a premium mastermind program? Just type it in the little window there. Give me a sense of what you're working on, and if that is one of the areas that you're focused on. I want to deliver. Not sure yet. And one of the reasons that I ask this is that what I do know in terms of looking at people who are teaching some of the mastermind process, or at least people trying to copy other people's business models that have premium masterminds in it, is that the premium mastermind process can be a beautiful way, like a beautiful way to really stabilize and get your business strong fast. But there are some challenges to it that you need to be a little bit aware of. Just to be perfectly clear, there are some challenges to it that if done well, they are absolutely stunning. If not done well, they can be a little bit of a challenge. But I want to be very clear with you. That's just one choice. There's a multitude of ways in which you can use masterminds. Right at the low end, way down at $97 a month, to the mid range, $500 to $750 a month, all the way up to the premium program. So just know that it can be done a multitude of different ways, and there is no right and there is no wrong. You just got to position it appropriately for you, the outcome of the group, and how you're going to use it on your business model. All right, gang. So here's the big piece that I want you to know and I want you to begin to adopt. Please use this belief. If you're going to be in the mastermind world, is this. I believe that all coaches, entrepreneurs, experts, hell, we could round up to human beings, but particularly coaches, entrepreneurs, and experts, I believe should both participate in a mastermind group and lead mastermind groups. And I think it's very important that we are on both sides of that equation. And I'm curious to know, for the people who are on the line, how many people are in both spots, meaning that you lead masterminds and you participate in masterminds. Just give me a yes if that is true for you, and fill me in a little bit. See what we're doing. A few of you only participated. I'm in. Yes, but want to. Okay. So a bunch of you are in that spot. Some of you are in one spot but not the other. All the rest of it. So I just want you to really hold on to this idea that both is really the requirement, particularly if you're going to lead, for sure. All right, my friends. So here's the thing. I have a direct request and a bribe. Okay. Here's my direct request. Stay until the end of this training. And the reason that I say that is that, number one, I am going to give you absolutely everything I've got to serve and support you for the next 90 minutes of this training, and I'll hang out for questions. I'm a little bit tough to get access to these days because things are exploding in my world. So for goodness sakes, use me. Now, that's the request, but I'm not above bribery, to be perfectly clear. So I will bribe you as well to stay. And how I will bribe you is this. I have a manual and a process for running hot seats that is nothing less than exceptional. And it's called the Hot Seat Breakthrough Strategies Manual. And what it does is it really assists people to integrate and create masterminds that every single time get to a core driver bottom line breakthrough for the person who is on the hot seat and creates a ton of value for the rest of the people in the group. And in my humble opinion, particularly those of you that are really curious about how am I going to do this, somebody says you're funny. Well, I haven't even started to make jokes yet. What I want you to be really clear about is that this model I designed for my high-end elite entrepreneurs because I wanted to make sure that every breakthrough, every mastermind, every hot seat had a breakthrough. And this manual, by the way, is not available in any other way. The only other way that we've ever made it available is for people who became Creation Circle leaders. They paid $5,000 for their training. I give you my word, it's worth waiting for. Now, that's the bribery part. Let's get back to the question part, which is this. If you're going to be on this training, please do myself and do you a favor and turn off surf and Facebook, turn off the beeping phone, close the door, let your family know that you're just going to focus and do some work for 2 hours. Because honestly, what we're going to go through here today could be some of the highest leverage work that you do in your business all year. Seriously, some of the highest leverage work. So focus in. I'll do my best to be of support, and we are going to knock it out of the park here for the next little bit. So going back to some of the questions, and this was asked earlier in our pre-training conversation, what the heck's a mastermind? So on that note, let me just go through real quick. So first and foremost, the name Mastermind was created by Napoleon Hill, the author of Think and Grow Rich. And it boils down to this: a small group of people that meet to grow, learn, evolve, and support one another. It can be, and this is the thing I want everyone here to recognize, realize, and anchor, particularly if you looked at the Mastermind manual, is that it can be any format, any length, any structure that you like. The important part is that you are conscious of what the structure is, and it is deliberate to serve and support the people who are involved in it, not just following around. Now, here's the big piece about this, and I want people to really understand this, because this is where I think the confusion sometimes happens. So just read what Napoleon wrote here, which is, no two minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. Now, when we mastermind well, please hear this, when we mastermind well, the truth is that masterminds are a spiritual process. They are a spiritual process. And what it boils down to is this, and I want you to imagine this, because this is really what we're talking about. If we can put a group of people in the room whose primary purpose for being in the room is to serve, support, and lift one another up, that they are there to stand for the best in another human being, even when that other human being may or may not see it themselves. They are there not to get their needs met, but to participate in community that ensures that everyone in the community steps up their contribution to themselves, to their families, to their community, to the world. That's the stand of a real mastermind. And it doesn't matter the process, it doesn't matter the structure, any of those sorts of things, although you got to have one, which is why I gave you that. That's what we're really up to. And I want you to be perfectly clear about your role as a mastermind leader is not just to, deliver some content and to choose a room and to guide people through a process. It's your job to hold the space for people to step up to themselves in a real powerful, meaningful way. So that's what, when I use the word mastermind, that's what I'm talking about. And I just want you to, if you get this, if you know what I'm talking about, I want you to just say, yes, I understand. Yes, I'm in. Yes, this resonates. Like, tell me where you're at, because I really want to know that we're on the same page. This is not about, just one more method. This is not about one more little strategy. This is not about reinventing a group training. This is not about just getting, my message out. This is about genuinely creating the space, the time, the energy for people to really serve and support one another in powerful, meaningful ways. And you have the honor and the privilege, if you choose to step into this world, to lead, connect, guide, and serve and support in that manner. Okay, beautiful. The comments are flying in like mad. I get it. So I'm glad that you get it too, because that's really what this boils down to. And I'll just say one other thing. And by the way, you got to understand, in terms of religion, it matters not to me whether you are, Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, nudist. It doesn't matter to me. But there's this one piece that I think is really cool in relationship to Mastermind that has a Christian background to it. That Jesus said, "Whenever two or more people gather in my name, I am there." And I really do believe that is a part of what we're talking about in terms of this idea of, no two minds ever come together without there being this invisible force. That's the heart of what we're talking about. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Any other clarifying questions about what a mastermind is? I think we've got it. So actually, somebody just typed in, aren't masterminds just a sort of a name for here? There's too many comments flying in. Just give me a second. It keeps jumping around. Aren't masterminds just a name for group coaching with premium pricing? I will say as clearly as I can, hell no. And in fact, you have touched on a raw nerve of mine that drives me utterly and completely squirrely, to be perfectly frank, which is people doing exactly that. And by the way, in our bonus content, I actually go through a whole little video about what a mastermind is not. And one of the things that masterminds are not is 125 people paying a premium price in a classroom where somebody's just doing some training. That's BS. That is not a mastermind. So again, there's so many comments, I can't keep track of them as they're coming in. But what I want you to be clear about is by the time you're done with this training today, I truly believe that you will understand the distinction and the difference and how that goes, because that just is BS in my humble opinion. So I know people use it that way. It's just inappropriate in my humble opinion. All right, gang. So we got to get moving. Next. Remember at the beginning, I said to you, I really want you to just play with this idea of what if it could be easy? What if it could be joyful? What if you could just listen? And what if you could just lean into this idea that you get to work with people you love, you get to be well paid for it, you get to actually engage, your business gets to thrive, there's a foundation there. So I asked you to entertain that, and I want to tell you a story that is a real life example of how easy it can be. Now, this is going to take a moment or two, but I want you just to truly listen to it from the perspective of this is possible and it can be easy. Now, a dear friend of mine, Colin, I trained him as a facilitator years ago. He used to facilitate my program called Personal Best Level 3. He did that for a little bit, and then an organization that he did volunteer work with, which was called YEO at the time, Young Entrepreneurs Organization. That's now EO because apparently they're not young anymore. That actually might apply to me as well. Anyway, he came back and he said, look, I want to do exclusive high-end retreats for elite entrepreneurs, and I want to do them in beautiful locations all over God's green earth, and I'd like you to do them with me to handle the personal development piece, because I've done my 25 years of personal transformation work. So we talk about it. It sounds interesting. I think that would be cool. And I, at that point in time, had a pretty traditional view of marketing. And I said, well, okay, I guess if we're going to do this, we need to get organized. We need to get a website. We need to get some cards printed. We need to maybe do a glossy brochure, given who we're talking about and talking to. We need to do all these sorts of things. And Colin looks at me and goes, I don't want to do any of that shit. And by the way, that was exactly what I said. I don't want to do any of that stuff. What I really want to do is I think we target exactly the people we want to work with, who want exactly what it is that we're going to deliver, and we get them together for a group and buy them dinner. That's what we should do. So that's exactly what we did. So 2 people who had already committed that they wanted to play with us, the 4 of us sat down and we vetted the group of the rest of the 10 members that were going to, the rest of the 8 members that were going to make up the 10. And we did personal invitations. We invited them to dinner at a restaurant, a little private room, brought everyone together and said, look, this is what we're doing. This is why you made the list and why you're sitting at this table. This is what the outcome is going to be. This is what the experience is going to look like. This is what this is going to cost. And the long and the short of it is this, is that 10 people ponied up $16,000 to participate. That, by the way, is just the fee for participation, not the travel, not any of those sorts of things. And I'll tell you later in the webinar how you can run one of these things with 0 expenses. Every single person, 100% of the people said yes. And inside of 4 hours, we generated $160,000 and had our first mastermind group launched. Now, I need you to understand this. Without a business card, without a brochure, without a website, without an opt-in form, without anything except the most important things in the universe, which, let me get my pen working. Come on, pen. And I want to write this out because I want you to see it. What we had was relationships. We had contributed value. We were perfectly clear on our positioning. And we put our heart on the line in terms of how we were going to serve them. And in that process, boom, it was done. Done. So I want you just to think about, and just to be clear about this, how many people would like to have one dinner party, generates $160,000, and boom, the foundation of your business is built. So I want you to understand that that is absolutely possible. And in fact, the third bit of free content we gave you, called Fill Your Masterminds with Ease, that manual that steps us through the process is actually an evolution of exactly what we did here to launch that mastermind. Exactly. So step by step, the entire process is there. It is not that difficult. Honest to God, it's not that difficult. But you got to have these things in place. You got to have a relationship. You got to be able to contribute value. You got to have great positioning, and you got to lead with your heart. Lead with your heart. That's the key thing, because this is a group process. This isn't a leader trainer guru process, as clear as I can say it. Okay, so I want you to just take a moment now. It's like, yeah, that sounds interesting. Now, anybody's brain take an instant to compare that experience with trying to chase clients and trying to get clients engaged, because it's radically and dramatically different. You don't want to continue to chase clients. You don't want to do this stuff one-on-one. You don't want to do it for a price that isn't sustainable for your business and your family and your world. It just doesn't make any sense. So I want you to hold on to this idea as we go through what we're going to train you about today, and know that this is possible. There is no question about it. This is possible. Okay, so on that note, I just looked at the time, and it's like, apparently I've been a little chattier at the front end than I often have. And for those of you who have worked with me, I'm expecting Lynn to make a comment about me being chatty. It almost never happens, gang. Almost never. I think it's one of the challenges of 25 years of experience. Kat says never. I know, Kat. So I want to just recap really quickly here. These are the Mastermind manuals that we sent you. So the first, or as part of the free content. So the first is the scaling strategy. This is where I compare 7 different growing strategies for your business to land on what is the fastest, easiest, and most joyful. Shock of all shocks, that happens to be Masterminds. Then there's the Mastermind Mentors Manual. And again, I asked you to go through a bunch of this stuff. And if you've gone through it, fantastic. If you haven't yet, I just want to give you a little snapshot for it in a moment or two. And then the third, which is Fill Your Masterminds with Ease, which is the updated and adapted version of really the dinner party that we did for $160,000, which, by the way, I want to be perfectly clear about this. That can be adapted online. I've been getting, good God, hundreds of questions about, can we do this online? How would we adapt that online? How does this stuff work? All the rest of it. Now, if you did not get these manuals, and you didn't get access to all of those pieces, what I would like you to do is this. What I would like you to do is make sure that you click on the link that is in the that's in the little chat box down there, and it will take you directly back to the free content pages. And each one of these manuals is in the link just below the video. So you just click the link just below the video, boom, you will get your free content, and away it goes. All right, hopefully that gets. And Christine, 1,000%, I appreciate you bringing that up. Somebody just said, I don't feel that $160,000 at a dinner party is realistic for all types of coaches. I 1,000% agree, which is one of the reasons why I said right at the beginning is that, and was asking about the premium model, is that I've also done this almost identical to drive people into a $97 a month mastermind that also super profitable, filled the niche, served the needs, connected with people with where they were at, leveraged where that coach was at. Now, both Colin and I have exceptional experience in the entrepreneurial domain. We've both built multi 6 and 7-figure businesses, all of those pieces. So no, it's not perfect for everyone, and I'm not suggesting that it is, but I'm telling you that that same process can work at every single price point. Let's be clear about this. If you got 10 people to come to dinner and you talk to them about a mastermind at $97 and they all said yes, the truth of the matter is you just made $12,000 over the next 12 months. That's also a really great outcome. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't see the link on the iPad. So, gang, I don't know why iPads have been having some difficulties with that. But Cami, if you send a email, my team will take care of it. Make sure that you get absolutely everything. And I got a little feedback about sound being gone. Can you just confirm with me that we're still okay with sound? You can hear me. All is good before I move forward. Okay, sound is great. Yeah, and sometimes the sound thing is just where one individual person is at. Now, I'm just going to escape here for a brief moment because I want you to see this very quickly. So what we're talking about and why it makes it worthwhile for you to actually get those manuals is that this is the Mastermind Mentors Manual. So you can see in the table of contents that it's exceptionally well structured. We do everything from how does a mastermind work, to meeting format and structure, to hitting ground rules, to how do you get rid of somebody who's a deadhead, how do you integrate somebody new, effective goal setting, how do we keep track of these things, how do we handle things virtually. There's agendas for meeting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's the contact form. There's the group goal and project planner piece. So if you look through this, there's the welcome letter from everyone. Now this is given to you in a doc file, and you'll actually see that it still has my logos and a bunch of my emails and stuff. You get it as a doc file so that you can literally just go through and use the go to and replace, and you put your content in it. You replace my name with your name, my pictures with your pictures, tweak it, and this Mastermind manual is done. Please hear this. It is done for you. And honest to God, I spent over $15,000 developing this thing, testing it with Mastermind mentors, tweaking it, evaluating it, adjusting it. So bottom line is this: that one thing will be a game-changing aspect to your process. So it's all there. Just R&D it. And if you're not familiar with what R&D means, it means rip off and duplicate, which, by the way, is the entire purpose and the process of the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp and the Mastermind to Millions live trainings that we do. Don't reinvent the wheel, for crying out loud. I've already invested the time, the effort, the energy, and literally 2.5 decades working this stuff. Use what we give you. So all good. We got to get moving. We're a little bit behind, so I'm going to go fast. Look out. What we're dumping into now is the 3 massive mistakes that coaches and consultants make launching mastermind groups and how you can avoid them and add 6 figures to your bottom line. How is that for a mouthful? But it truly does say everything that we're going to jump into. And in fact, I have got to get moving right here and now to get us all the way through. So mastermind mistake number 3 that coaches and trainers make that cause them troubles launching their mastermind is lack of commitment. Now, lack of commitment is a big deal in masterminds. And I believe that this lack of commitment actually starts long before people ever get in the mastermind group. That the lack of commitment actually starts in the marketing process. And even here, while we've been on the call for about, half hour or something like that, I bet that we have had some version of 80 or 90 different comments that really come down to this theme, which is, how do I get a mastermind client? How do I get a mastermind client? How do I get a member? How do I market it? How do I get somebody to say yes? Okay. So I have a perception that most of those questions come from a fundamental grounding of trying to chase, find, convert a mastermind client. And I want you to think of it from a different perspective altogether. I really believe if you're going to run successful masterminds, this 3rd mistake that people make is we got to stop chasing and we must reverse the psychology of selling, both ours and theirs. So I'm going to talk about both real quickly. I think one of the things that happens when people are in the one-on-one model is that they develop scarcity. And there's always this, I need a new client, I need 3 clients. If I could just get 3 more clients, my practice would be fine. And then it's like, great, I got 3 new clients, but 2 fell off the back end. And what happens is it causes scarcity. And when people are in that scarce state of mind, frankly, their brains don't work very well. And there's real research about that. When we're in a scarce state of mind, when we're in a fearful state of mind, quite literally, it stops some of our higher reasoning and thought processes. But there's this other piece about our energy. And when our energy works better with a G. When our energy is that of scarce and desperate, it is damn near impossible to give away a mastermind. And I want to be super clear about that, is that we've got to get our energy in a different space and in a different state. You are not seeking and trying to sell masterminds. What you are doing is you are filtering your masterminds for the best fit. And I'll teach you more about that in a moment or two. Now, here's the other part about this. Everyone loves to buy, and no one loves to be sold. And let's be clear about this. People want what, for the most part, they can't have. One of my favorite video shows of all time is Frasier. And I don't know if you ever saw that episode where Fraser and Niles, weasel their way into this private club, and they're so proud they get into the private club that once they get into the private club, everything's fantastic. Then they see this other door, and it's a silver door, and it's the platinum door, and then they're not happy that they're in the club. Now they have to get into the platinum version of the club. And I'm being a little bit facetious, poking fun at human psychology, but you just got to understand this, is that it's easy for people to say no. It is the default position psychologically of every human being, by the way, even if it's something that we want. But if you can contribute value, if you can engage people in a learning process, if you can become the trusted advisor, if you can do those things, then the whole dynamic changes, completely and utterly changes. So I want you to think about this, is that you're not chasing and converting and selling. You are filtering and selecting the right group members for your mastermind. And it makes a monumental contextual shift in you and how people engage with you. Now, for this to work, you got to be perfectly clear that the group must be positioned in a manner that gives them, meaning your members, what they want. Because if it's not positioned in a manner that gives them what they want, it doesn't work. So here's a little hint. Our high-end mastermind process, in terms of elite entrepreneurs and traveling and all those sorts of things, here's what they wanted. They were CEOs who were highly independent, built all of the stuff on their own, who their loved ones, their family, nobody got them. Nobody had a freaking clue what it took for them to build those businesses that were multi-million-dollar, sometimes multinational corporations. Nobody knew. What they wanted was somebody who had a clue, and they wanted to get the hell away from the burden, the responsibilities, the issues, and the difficulties of the lives they had designed. So quarterly retreats with other, let's call them high-level CEOs and entrepreneurs, was perfect for them. It's what they wanted. And here's the other piece, and this goes back to, I think, what somebody was saying earlier about, $160,000 dinner party isn't realistic for everyone. That's absolutely true. It's not. It is absolutely true. It's not. You have to have relationships with those kinds of people for that to actually work. But we've got to be very, very clear about this. You must start with what you can create and what you can deliver. And that is where the game is won or lost. Period. That's where the game is won or lost. And you can do really well from where you're at. I give you my word. You can do really well from where you're at. I give you my word. Okay, so that is number 3. Here's a couple of tips and tricks for it. I want you to play with this idea of how to easily filter people, and I want to give you a tangible, usable tool right here, right now, that works. So we're already clear. I'm going to stop chasing people. Now I'm going to ask you to actually play with me and have a little fun with me. Everyone here who is 1,000% committed to shifting how this goes, I want you to type into the little question area there and make a declaration that says, I will stop chasing people. Type it. Seriously, do it. I really want you to. This is absolutely imperative. I will stop chasing people. Because honest to goodness, one of the biggest issues in your business is your desire to chase, is that driver of scarcity, is that I've got to get somebody in. Yes, fantastic. So make that declaration, and I promise you it will make a monumental difference. Here's one of the easiest ways to stop chasing people, is to have filtering criteria. And I'm going to ask each of you to come up with 3 things about and I want you to vision and visualize you and your mastermind group, your ideal people, the people that you want, the people that you don't want. So just think the positioning of your mastermind through. So that could be the online business breakthrough. That could be, the mastermind fast track, all of those pieces. This, by the way, is an exercise that we do in much greater depth and detail in our Mastermind to Millions live event. And you get feedback from other mastermind leaders. It's really a ton of fun. But it's not just fun. It's incredibly powerful for grounding and positioning. So you're going to come up with 3 sentences that says, this is not for you if, and you will complete those sentences. And then you're going to say, this is for you if, and you will complete those sentences. And what I want you to understand, again, is you are helping your clients self-filter. So I want everyone to do at least 3 of those, and I want you to share what you think is your best not for you and your best is for you in the little chat window. Now, while you're doing that, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. All right, where did that go? So this is, for example, go to Kajabi. Actually, I guess I thought I'd called it up already, but perhaps not. So here's an example of what we do on our website to help people select themselves in or out. And this is the Creator's Code. This is related to the personal transformation work that we do and have done for years. So I'm going to start with the this is for you. So by the way, when I did this, I'd been in the industry for 20 years. I was perfectly clear about the people that I love working with and perfectly clear about the people that I was not so keen about working with. And just declaring this has made a monumental difference for us, like a monumental difference. So the top of the list is, it is for you if you've had a transformational experience and you are ready to live it. This is for you if you are ready to take a public leadership role in your family, your community, and in the world. If you are ready and willing to ask for and receive support. If you know all this stuff and you're now serious about actually making it real in your life. And above all, this is for you if there is something within you that you feel called or compelled to create. All right. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to read the other ones, then I'll come back and do the other one. So here's the ones that I have a little bit of fun with. So this is not for you if you intellectually know all this stuff and you think that's good enough. Now notice what we do here. There's a little link that says, please share your knowledge here. And this breaks every rule of internet marketing, which is sending somebody off your page. But if you know all this stuff and you think that's good enough, please share your knowledge right over here at Wikipedia. They would be interested in what it is that you have to say. So we send them elsewhere. This is not for you if you're looking for a get-rich-quick scheme instead of personal evolution. Here's a tip that's called the lottery. This is not for you if you like to shop for personal development but don't want to use it. If you've got books you haven't read, courses you have paid for but haven't taken, and you still don't know what's missing. And this is absolutely not for you if you're not willing to do the work even when someone is lovingly kicking your ass and supporting you. We are happy to refer you elsewhere. And again, we send them 2 places. So we'll refer you to Walmart, because clearly there's something there that will assist you to buy your happiness. So just go buy some crap. And if we go back, I really quite love this one. If all else fails and you're not willing to do the work, but you're still looking for the miracle, we thought that we should send them to the Chimera Magic Wand. It's a miracle for only $49.95. We can change your life. In fact, while you're there, you should probably buy 2. Now, clearly you can tell that I'm a bit of a smartass in terms of this process. But I want to be very clear about this, is that it culls the people who are not serious and ready to do the work that we want to do. And it also resonates with the people who get it. We do not want more people chatting about consciousness. We want people who are engaged in consciousness. It's just as simple as that. And I've had people who have read these words and have emailed me and said, I don't even know what the hell you do, but I just want to do it. You're speaking my language. Those are my ideal clients. So I'm going to just check in with a couple of you in terms of if it is for you or if it isn't for you, just to share a couple. So this is for you if you're ready, willing, and available to invest in you and your passion project and to receive love, encouragement, and expert support to bring the idea to reality. Love that. This is for you if you're willing to see your reality and ready to actualize your life and use your personal talent. You're a smartass, new, just Canadian, and we understand it. That might be true, actually. I do think being a smartass does come with Canadian winters. We have to figure out something to do with our time. This is for you if you want to get out of your head. This is for you if you're teachable. I love that. I love that, love that. I'm going to look for some not for yous. This is not for you if you want to stay broke. This is not for you if you think you will not be able to apply it. This is not for you if you're not ready to commit to self-care. This is not for you if you're not into teamwork. Not for you if you can't share real stuff with other members. Not for you if you're not willing to be accountable. Love it. Okay, so you get the idea. So here's the thing. If you're going to live to your commitment that you said earlier, which is I am no longer going to chase people, then you've got to give people the opportunity to self-filter, and you need to take a stand and put your flag in the ground. And in doing so, you'll be amazed at what transpires. Holy doodles, gang! I just saw the clock. I gotta hustle here. So I'm going to go through this real quick. These are ways to solve this. So once people have said, yes, number one, you're not chasing them. Number two, they resonate with it is for them. Now, there are other ways to build commitment in your mastermind process. And here's the top of the list, price. And make no mistake, the price does not always, please hear this, it does not always, the higher price doesn't mean greater commitment, but in most cases it does. I want to give you a red flag. Something we learned the hard way with our elite entrepreneurs was that sometimes what happens when people pay a hefty price is they think they bought the result when they wrote the check, and those people become problem participants. So be really clear and careful about how that goes. But as a generalization, price will increase. Price will increase commitment. Use an application form, and this is a big deal. And on the application form, you must ask the questions that they don't want to answer. So, for example, I have an entrepreneur who went around going, "My business does $11 million a year," and it was a little feather in his cap. And one of the questions that we asked on the application form, great, we know what your sales are because you tell everybody. What I'm most interested in is what's your profit and what's your personal income? And the profit was, well, we lose about $2 million a year. That wasn't a conversation he wanted to have. But you got to be clear. If you are the gatekeeper to your mastermind, then you need to know the information to manage the gate. And if they're not willing to answer the questions, then that's probably a great sign for them to continue walking. So the application form, take it seriously. Design it in such a way that it is aimed at your group, and you got to ask the tough questions so that you know what's appropriate. Contracts, short version, use them. Get them. And for crying out loud, here's a little hint. Again, this is, I think, more to the high end than the low in my experience. One of the things that is really important is that I've had people give me the check and then say, yeah, just go deposit the check and I'll get you the contract afterwards. Never do that. Again, from the gatekeeper's perspective, it's like, I'm not taking your money until I know that we got a deal and I know that you're clear about what the obligations are. So you fill out the contract, you get it back to me, I will review it, we will sign it. When all of those things are done and we are perfectly clear and I am happy to let you through the gate, then I will cash your check. Then I will run your credit card. Then I will do the next step. It's a big deal. It's really a big deal. Quick question. Somebody says, does this involve selling? Christina, I don't know anything that doesn't involve selling. That's implicit in everything. Hell, I sell more to my 5-year-old son than I sell to anyone else. So there's always selling in everything. But I want to be clear about this. I think what lots of people say when it means selling is like, oh, do I have to make a cold call and that stuff? No, we don't do any of that stuff. That's silly for the most part. What it does involve is checking values. Does this fit? If it does, then for crying out loud, do it. If it doesn't, then even if you want to buy it, I won't let you. That's a radically different perspective. It's about what is the match? What is the mesh? How does that work? Does the contract need to be reviewed by a lawyer or can we create? Carol, that's a great example or a great question. I have several samples of contracts in the Launch Your Mastermind bootcamp process that you guys can, again, R&D, duplicate, rip off and duplicate. And you can, as well as I've got a couple of application forms in there as well. So absolutely, you can use mine. And I strongly recommend having your lawyer go through it. We don't provide legal advice, but we do provide a bunch of examples of what we have done that has worked for us. Does that make sense? Great. All right. Here is the single greatest piece, and I want to spend a moment or two on this because it's a big deal. And then we got a motor, which is powerful vision. Here's the single greatest way to build commitment. It is to assist the members to be perfectly clear on their vision for their life, for their business, for their family, for their health, to be very clear on their vision, like 1000% clear, and then to help them engage and to link their participation in the mastermind group as one of the primary ways to ensure that that vision becomes reality. And this is one of the reasons why we actually have a manual that is a part of the program that is what we call the commitment, vision, and it fell in my head, but it's a commitment vision manual for a 1-day foundational training that launches the mastermind. And when that is done, you would be astounded at how the commitment just naturally occurs. And then there's also means and methods for us to anchor that vision in every single one of the meetings to ensure that we are applying what is working, that the mastermind is serving and supporting them and creating what they want, and that everyone knows how that looks and goes. Pledges and anchoring. We integrate pledges in terms of who I want to be and how I want to be in my world. Anchoring, you can use a variety of NLP pieces and processes. One of the things that we do that is kind of cool is everybody who joined Creation Circles, they got a titanium ring with the creator's code on it, so it gives them a physical reminder. That also falls in the category of public displays of this is the stand that I am taking in my world. Think also like the Live Strong bracelets. Those were great public displays. Hell, anytime you buy something that has a label or a brand on it that's observable, that's a public declaration and a public display. This idea here and I know I'm going fast, gang, but I got to keep my agreements with you about time as best I can, is that this vision, by the way, it's not enough for that vision to be communicated just to other mastermind members. It's imperative that people's families, their kids, their spouses, are engaged in what the vision is and what it means for them to participate in the mastermind. Because the truth of the matter is that if there's a public declaration about what it is that they want to create, honest to goodness, there's nobody more powerful than your kid saying, "Hey, Dad, I thought that you were going to." That will keep people moving like you would not believe. Oh, I just got to get back there. So those are just some of the ways. Not clear about pledges and anchoring. So Cecile, there is a process just in terms of the pledges that we do that is pretty simple and straightforward, which is a declaration about who I want to be and what my role in the mastermind means. So we would do something, and I'm not going to look it up right now for the purposes of timing, but I'll give you the essence. So as conscious creators, people who are in creation circles. So I take a stand in my life and my world to be a conscious creator. I take a stand to ensure that I leave all people and circumstances in a state of better than they were in when I touched them. I am committed to creating these 3 results in my life, and whatever those results are. So better relationship, this, that, and the next thing. And we integrate that pledge as a ritual that we go through at every single mastermind. Brings us back to why we're here, who we said we were going to be, what we said we were going to do, and what the outcome is in our life. Does that make more sense, Cecile? Yeah, and you come up with whatever it happens to be, so people can adapt that in a bunch of different ways. All right, we got to hustle to our next one. So the most common mastermind mistake, most common mistake that coaches and trainers make when launching masterminds, number 2 is not having a professional leader. And here's what happens. If you do not have one person who is ultimately accountable and responsible for the organization structure and delivery of these events, it crumbles. So pick one person. Have that be you. That person must have, and I got to just say this as clear as I can, they have to have group facilitation experience. And I want to be clear, that group facilitation experience is imperative. It is not enough just to have coach training where you're dealing with people one-on-one. That just is not enough. It's not enough to be a great consultant. You have to know how to manage the dynamics of a room. You have to be able to read multiple people at a time. You have to be able to enforce boundaries. You have to be able to create space for people to share. You've got to be able to get the yappy one to shut up, and you've got to be able to pull out the quiet one. You've got to be able to do all of those pieces. It's one of the reasons why one of the modules of the Launch Your Mastermind bootcamp and the Mastermind to Millions, we spend time live training with real live other mastermind leaders to see how this goes, is so important, because just some of the things you got to be able to do is you have to enforce the agreements and the agenda. So if people said that they were going to be there and they're not, you got to call them out. If everybody gets 3 minutes to share on a particular topic and somebody's babbling for 6 minutes, you got to zip them up. You've got to be able to have that space. And it is only in the consistency and the reliability of that space that the true spiritual aspect of masterminding comes out. You've got to be able to handle the environment. And what that simply means is this. Not just the physical. Certainly, you got to choose an environment that's going to serve and support the alignment of your mastermind. Okay, so there's no right or wrong location. It has to be put in context of what your mastermind does. But you've also got to be able to create the space mentally, emotionally, and spiritually so that the true essence of masterminding occurs. So that is just unbelievably important. We do a ton of work about how that looks and how that works when you're, number 1, positioning the mastermind, and number 2, when we're setting up both commitment and facilitator skills. You got to be able to deal with conflict. How many of you, by the way, have any sort of, I don't really like to deal with conflict? Just say, type it in if that becomes a little bit of a challenge or a difficulty for you. Because the thing that I want to say about this is that I don't think any human being, wakes up in the morning and goes, "Yay, I get to deal with conflict, yay." Like, I don't really think that's the natural space for most of us as human beings. But I want to also be clear about this. As a facilitator, it's your job to call that out at times in appropriate manners, because it can be one of the greatest foundational learning pieces for our members. So you got to be able to do that. You got to manage expectations. This is a really, really, really big deal. And it is one of the reasons why the gatekeeper, why the contracts, why the agreements, why the vision process, why the ground rules are so important. Because what people say and what people hear and what people think is always different. So you've got to be perfectly clear about people of that this is how this goes. You're not going to come to the mastermind meeting and just sit back and wait for somebody to support you. You're going to show up, you're going to engage, you're going to contribute, you're going to open up your heart, mind, and soul to serve and support these people. Or guess what? You can stay home. We don't need you back. That's not how this goes. There is nobody in a mastermind group who is there for the, quote, free ride. It doesn't work that way, and you've got to be able to manage that entire process. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any really important questions. 35 years of corporate trainer. Yeah, Ross, I think 35 years would probably qualify you. Good work, man. Not everyone can do it. And I know what Jay is talking, and that's absolutely true. Well, and Richard, I would tweak that as, yes, not everyone can do it. That's true. But with training and support, it's also not as hard as it first seems. It's just a skill that most people don't have, and there just aren't that many places to learn it. I actually think that we do some of the best facilitator training work in the world. Right now, Laurel Langmeyer is dealing with me in terms of licensing our material and working together for our facilitator training processes. Because she shopped all over God's green earth and hasn't found anything that's close to ours. Janice, if you don't have group facilitation experience, that's why we build it into our program. And honest to God, unless you get group facilitation experience, I would strongly suggest you don't want your mastermind until you do get some support in that arena. And I'll talk more about how the 6 pillars of running masterminds have to be lined up, and how if only one is off, it can be a fiasco. All right. And then here's the other piece, and this just ties back to my bribe for you at the beginning, is I really think that one of the huge pieces about having a professional leader is that a professional leader makes sure that there is always massive value through what we call the hot seat. And that's that manual that I promised you at the beginning, that when you hang out to the end here, I will absolutely get for you, and we will make sure that we if you follow those steps, you'll have hot seats that rock the world. And I've had a multitude of times people say this to me. Just click, go back. I've had people say this to me, which is finish their hot seat. And we, by the way, my preference, and it doesn't have to be this way, but my preference is people take turns in the hot seat, and they get what I would call a deep hot seat, like about a 1 hour process. We actually get to the core of what's going on. I've had people, hug me on the way out the door after Mastermind and say, you know what just happened in the last hour and a half is worth my entire fee for the year. Thank you. And that's the kind of thing that we're talking about. And I have yet to see this kind of an experience with that kind of depth and that kind of experience happen in any other mastermind that isn't professionally led by someone who has a clue in this domain. So it is a big, big, big deal. Just reading. Make sure to do. As a leader, call people out, go about it without putting them on defense. And that is, Marianne, there's a whole bunch of processes to that. Skill set, yeah, we're all on the same page. Okay, perfect. All right, my gang, my friends. So who is ready for the number 1 mistake that coaches and leaders make that cause them to have difficulties in running and launching masterminds? You got to do the drum roll. Everybody do the drum roll at home. Drum roll. Here it is. And then I clicked the button, it didn't go. It is this: the mastermind mistake that most coaches and trainers make over and over and over again that causes them great pain and difficulty and their masterminds to ultimately fail is having a weak or non-existent structure. Now, sorry about that, gang. I just had to pause for a brief moment. Now, I want to be clear about this. There is no right way to have structure. There is no wrong way to have structure. The manual that I gave you is just one example of powerful structure that really can work well, particularly in low-end to mid-range masterminds. It really makes a monumental difference. But I want to be clear about this. You just need structure, and you need to stick to it. And what it does in the absence of not having that structure is that most masterminds devolve either into coffees and chit-chat, or beer and wine and chit-chat, or they devolve even worse than those two things. They devolve into an empty room. Nobody comes anymore, and that you do not want. Let me be clear about that. You don't want it, you don't want it, you don't want it. What it does is it sets us up for unmet expectations. And I just want to let you know, one of the additional products and services that we have is we gave you for free the Mastermind Mentors Manual. We also have an accompanying manual called the Members Manual, and the Members Manual is frankly close to a mirror of the of the Mentors Manual. But what it does is it includes, this is how this is going to look. This is what our ground rules are. This is what it will mean if you don't show up. This is what it will mean if we bring in a new person. This is what it means for us to work together. This is how you keep track of your agreements to the rest of the members. And that Members Manual, which honest to God is unbelievably valuable, all that does is to let people know the rules to the game. What it does is it demonstrates that you have a plan and you know how this is going to go, and there's not going to be any worming and squirming and wiggling. We are going to be professionals, and we are going to serve and support people to evolve. Cat, I like it. I like that. Cat says, or it devolves into a bitch fest. Yes, I have seen those things happen as well. And Ross, is it a balance? Too much structure can work against us. 1000% that's true, Ross. And I'm just going to speak to this for a brief moment, because I think that the more experienced you are as a facilitator, the easier it is to manage that balance. What I say to people is this: is at the beginning, while you're getting sort of the wheels under the bus, don't be afraid to lean pretty heavily on the structure. But as you begin to see, evolve, perceive, be able to give feedback, understand the dynamics, really get what people are working towards, also don't be afraid to throw the damn thing away, and let people know that for the next while we're just going to throw it away and we're going to do this for this reason. But that doesn't mean that we don't have structure anymore. It means that we're going on a brief detour that we'll be back. And in all seriousness, sometimes the detours are 1,000 times more valuable. But if we're perpetually detouring, it still then devolves. So it is that balancing trick. I 1,000% agree with you. All right. Here's the thing, and this is one of the big elements I want you to understand. If any of you are going to do longer term masterminds, so we're going to get together monthly for a year or any of those pieces. Yeah, one of the things that structure really does help with is planning for natural resistance. And whether you realize it or not, your members will develop, show, demonstrate, covertly manipulate, will do all those sorts of things because there's natural resistance. And we all have natural resistance, whether we like to admit it or not. So what I want to be clear about is this, is that not allowing for natural resistance and not having structure creates our enemy, lack of commitment. And I just want to draw something quickly for you, because I think that it'll help put this in perspective. And let's just go here. Okay, so imagine that you're in I'm going to say a 12-month mastermind. And this is the timeline. And down here is -10. That's commitment, energy, intention, all that stuff. Up here is +10. And let's imagine that you have filtered them properly. They have done an application for them. They are moving and shaking. The mastermind group really matches. All of those things are rock star. Your member will likely start up here at 10. But they are human, and guess what happens? It goes down. Now, please understand, because they're human, when it goes below this line, guess what people do? So what do people do when their experience, their energy, their focus, their commitment wanes, let us say, and it gets below the neutral point of 0? What do people do in a mastermind? Type it in. Hola, señores, señoritas. Ask for a refund? Moan and complain. Now, depending on how, Caroline, depending on how it's dealt with, how much structure is there, what is going on in those pieces, Ross has it exactly right. He says it nicer than I do. He says moan and complain. I'm going to say it in a different way. Whine, bitch, and complain. And they whine, bitch, complain, and blame whatever they can find. Now, usually this sounds a little bit like, there's that one member who I don't really like, and then we started 3 minutes late that one day, and then I stubbed my toe, and then mercury's in Gatorade. There's all kinds of problems. They get sucked into the drama. Now, please understand this. This will happen. It always happens. It is the nature of the beast. It is the nature of humanity. It is all of those things. But what we want to be clear about is that we have a structure and a process, number one, that recognizes this, that number 2 calls this out and serves and support the person to bring themselves back up and to redirect their energy. At which point we also celebrate, acknowledge, cheer, do whatever it is that we can about, hey, that was really great. You got yourself engaged. We're back on track with your mission, vision, all those sorts of things. And guess what? You just get to deal with some more relationships because that's really what's going on in a mastermind. But of course, then this happens again, and this happens again, and this happens again, and this happens again. Hopefully they begin to wake up and it's less over there and less over there, and ultimately gets to the point where it stays above the line. Now, let's be clear about this. If you don't have a structure that, number 1, addresses this, lets members know that this is going on, calls them out when it's going on, kicks their ass when it's going on, gives them a hug when it's going on, then all of the other things that people have talked about here, they'll drop out, they'll tune out, they'll quit, they'll ask for, they'll want to leave, all the rest of it. That's what happens. But here's the honest to God truth. So true, drama. Here's the honest to God truth. How long does it take for people to start bitching? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? That's a really great question, Richard. It depends on the structure of the group, but you can certainly, in most cases, count on it between the second and the third month. Which is one of the reasons why I always give people warning in our second session. So if we're doing it monthly, so this is the point at which you're going to have a story or two. And let's talk about what some of those stories are, and let's put it on the table and let's deal with it. Because you're either going to manage your stories or your stories are going to manage you. And that's part of the reason we are together. And we're not going to let you whine, bitch, and complain here without calling you out on it, because we know that's one of your patterns. So let's get on with the show. So anyway, that's the whole piece here, that you need to have obviously you need to be a strong leader, absolutely, without a doubt. So I hope that this all makes some sense to you guys. How do you handle this with no background training? Honestly, Cecile, that's why I say to people, and that's why we build in the facilitator training module to all of our work, because it is the game changer. You can do all of the other pieces, but if you can't lead and guide through this process, it becomes troublesome, just straight up. So you absolutely need some support in that process. How many people can host the mastermind? I'm not sure what you mean about that. Like, how many are the leaders? I am a big fan of one leader. I have co-led them a couple of times, and it has never been as strong as just having one strong leader. Now, I will have guest presenters and guest leaders come in to present to my masterminds a particular concept, idea, tool, or resource. Love that, and it works out really well. But at the end of the day, when shit hits the fan, that's me. So I handle that. Hopefully that makes good sense to you. So the part that I want you to be perfectly clear about, gang, is that these 3 mistakes are the 3 greatest mistakes that I see that get in the way of people really knocking it out of the park with masterminds. I want to recap for you. The first of which is this whole idea of lack of commitment. And that happens before the mastermind starts. I want to be very clear about this. Just think about it from this perspective. If you're chasing a bunch of people trying to get them in the mastermind, and then suddenly they pay, and now suddenly you're the leader in the relationship, it doesn't work that way. It never works that way. So you've got to handle that piece. Then the next piece is you've got to have and be that professional leader that can guide you through this entire process. And then the third one is you need to have a structure that makes sense for the purpose of your mastermind, that you can execute on, that creates safety, consistency, and powerful and deep connection and conversations for the true mastermind process to occur. So those, my friends, are the 3 mistakes. Those are the 3 things that we do our very best to serve and support people with in terms of evolving and bringing themselves to the role of being a fantastic mastermind leader, and frankly, magnifying their value contribution in a multitude of ways. So that is the running, the being, and the attracting people to the mastermind. So let's talk for a little bit about just see a couple of questions coming in here real quick. How many people do you need on your long list to get a mastermind of 10 formed? Great question. Again, going back to positioning and who you are and who you know and all those fun, wonderful things. I have done it with 10 people on the list. I've got my 10 I've got my 10-person mastermind. I think a more realistic piece for me is when I'm selecting and looking at timing and all of those pieces, is that I've done it pretty consistently with somewhere between 15 to 18. Invite them for one of those events, fill your mastermind with these, have a couple of cups of coffee, and boom, the mastermind is full. So let's say for most people, let's call it double if you are really clear on the positioning. Okay. Let's have a little bit of fun and talk about another aspect that I know none of you are interested in at all. $250,000 on your bottom line. Anybody would like to learn how to do $250,000 on the bottom line? You must say yes, or else you have to jump off the webinar. Oh, you guys responded to that one faster than the other ones. That's really interesting to me. Not at all interested. Good to know. I appreciate your sense of humor. All right, so I just want you to think about this again, particularly if you're Canadian or U.S. Well, you know what? If it's U.S., then that works out currently to about 17.2 million Canadian, which is all well and fine. I assume it's a rhetorical question. I'm just being a smartass, gang. Okay, so I just want you to think about this from a variety of different ways about how this could work utilizing masterminds and how you could begin to get some. What about Brit? I don't know about. I don't know too much about the euro, to be honest. I do most of my work in North America. And by the way, let's be clear about this. Some people just were saying it's like I can't envision that kind of money. No worries. I'm going to give you examples throughout the range of how you can make this work for you. So let's start at the very top. So there's a bunch of ways to do this. And I want to talk, and this is one of the reasons I was asking you guys about premium programs earlier, was I want to share a little tip and trick with you. So 10 people at 25K is, of course, $250,000. Now, whenever I do this, and let's make no mistake about it, if you have the value proposition and you have the experience and the expertise, $25,000 for many people is nothing but a drop in the bucket. I just need you to recognize that. So do not project your own, holy doodles, how on earth is that possible? You know, all of those things. I want you just to really understand that this is common. It is common. It is common. So I just want you to really be clear that this actually 1,000% can work. But most people, when they look at it, go, well, wait a second, that's not really $250,000 on your bottom line, because then there's expenses, and if you're traveling, all the rest of it. So I'm going to give you a tip here. And this tip, by the way, in and of itself could add 6 figures to your bottom line over the next couple of years. Here's how Colin and I did it. So in our case, we started at a 16K mastermind. That went up to 24K. But I wanted to be really clear that this was just for the group participation. Okay, that's the group. Now, we agreed that we were going to travel, but we were also very clear that we are not your travel agent. And what we would do when we'd go on retreats is that we would then, Colin and I would pay for all the expenses. And let's just imagine that the expenses were $50,000, which, by the way, is very, very high for one of them. But when we went to South Africa, that's actually in the ballpark. And then when we came home, we would pay for all of the expenses when we came home, and this was a part of our contract. We would divide the expenses by the number of people in the group, which in this case was 10, and we would then bill everybody's credit card for an additional $5,000 for the expense of the trip. And that expense of the trip included our own flights, included our hotels, included the rooms that we rented, included the activities that we did, included everything. So the truth of the matter is that the expenses for running that mastermind were, for us as a business, the grand total of $0. That's a nice business model. Now, you got to obviously have that in the contract. You've got to be very clear with people, all the rest of it. But you can separate the charges, which is, this is your cost for the membership, this is your cost for the events, and they can be two different things, and you can actually run your business incredibly profitably just doing that. By the way, if you haven't already, write that one down. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a good one. Now, here's a much simpler way. If the $25,000 thing seems out of range to you, is 5 groups of 10 at $5,000. That's $250,000. And the truth of the matter is, depending on how you structure it, is that those 5 groups of 10 could have you working really just 5 nights a month. And if it's 5 nights a month, and by the way, gang, my tablet, my handwriting at the best of times is not grand, but my tablet is giving me even harder time. But that's 5 nights a month, and then maybe a couple of days where you bring the groups together. So that's a really simple $250,000 model as well. I also want you to think of this. If any of you have your own content, so how many of you have content that is unique to you? You've written a book, you've designed some programs. Okay, so if you've got that, you might want to think about this. And this was a great model for me, and it has some legs. So what I did was I licensed content. So I would teach mastermind leaders to lead mastermind groups. The price point for the mastermind group was $297. And for $297, we provided all of the content, all of the structure, all of the training, all of the online work, all of the links, all of the internet marketing piece. We did all of those things. Then we just split it 50-50. And in terms of splitting it 50-50, that means that when somebody delivers their mastermind, of course, they get basically $1,500 if it's a group of 10 a month. I get $1,500 a month, and they get resource and support. I get a cash flow and licensing of my content. So that is an interesting model that can really work in the mastermind world as well. I'm going to tell you one other really fast thing. We are doing a whole bunch of conversations about external masterminds, but I need you to understand there are internal masterminds as well. So examples are, my dear wife works at a church in Calgary, and they have a mastermind every Tuesday with the minister, with the art director, with the music director, with a couple of the board members to mastermind the sermon for Sunday. Now, that might seem like an odd thing, and how do they monetize that, and what does that really mean, and all of the pieces. Let's just say this, is that it is the fastest growing United Church in North America, in large part due to that mastermind. I know another gentleman had a manufacturing plant. He started putting his 6 salespeople into a weekly mastermind. Inside of 90 days, they had an entirely new business model that used the unused time on the manufacturing facilities for an entirely new business model that in the first 90 days delivered 6 figures. So masterminds can be anything, anywhere, anytime. There are so many ways to do this. The truth of the matter is that people just get themselves stuck into a couple of little ways of thinking small, honest to goodness. And it's one of the reasons why when we go through our positioning piece, it's one of the reasons why when we do our positioning piece, that if you do this well, all the rest of it is handled. All the rest is handled. Yes, in that $297 model, that is $297 a month. Absolutely. Okay. So the point that I want to share with you, my friends, is that this is possible. It can be done. It doesn't need to be so goddamn hard, and you don't need to struggle with this one-on-one thing. If you do masterminds well, you have this foundation of income. You have this foundation of community. You have this foundation that works. Then, by the way, take as many one-on-one clients as you feel like, but you don't have to do it. You get to choose to do it, and that changes absolutely everything. Everything. All right, my friends. So here's the thing. I really do hope, and I hope that you get our intention of serving and supporting you to really do this. And what my hope is that you get that we want to serve and support you, and that we have contributed enough value that we've earned the right to share with you what we actually do in the Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp, in the Mastermind to Millions live training, all of those pieces. So what I want you to do is I want you to consider a couple of things that, as clear as I can say it, we can help you transform this process. Actually, I just realized that I forgot a bunch of stuff. So I want to contribute more before I tell you about this, and I'm going to do it really fast. Here's a unique way of masterminding. Yes, the 5K in that case was for a year. Is that I do something called the Banff JV Summit. And this is where I do it 2 times a year. It's only 2.5 days long. We limit the participants to 30 people, and we come together and we mastermind and joint venture with one another to support each other to scale and to grow our businesses. Now, here's what happens. It's $1,500 a person, and they pay for their hotels. I pay for the food, all the rest of it. So maybe there's a little bit of expenses, but at the end of the day, it's $90,000 for 2 events. It's $90,000 for 2 events, basically 5 days a year. Now, that's a pretty simple model. Now, and it doesn't even begin to count the income from the joint venture. So where we're working together and, hey, I can support you in doing this, and you can support me in doing that, and then we build a joint venture together, that's actually significantly in excess of that number. So it doesn't have to be monthly. It doesn't have to be quarterly. Hell, you could do it once a year. You could do it twice a year. There's a lot of ways to go about this. And I just, again, want to push you to expand your definition of masterminds. I'm going to go through this real fast. This statistic honestly makes my stomach turn. Every time I read it, it hurts my heart and stomach. The ICF, that's the International Coaching Federation, said that the average coach in the world adjusted US dollars, is making $28,000 a year. $28,000 a year. Good God. Good God. That's and working hard at it, trying to find clients, trying to make their way, all of those pieces. Just it's heart-wrenching. So I just want to be clear about this. That's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. You deserve more than this. That is BS. And if you've ever struggled in that arrangement or in that world, then I need you to hear this. You've got to break the time for money bind. Not now, but right now. It is imperative. And I want to share with you how you can do that. So again, back to what I was saying, here's a couple of examples of how simple it can be. Here's a dear friend of mine. She and I have been business partners for years. She actually was quite anti Mastermind group, which is kind of funny when I first rolled them out. But if we fast forward a couple of years, she now, and by the way, I should just tell you, she's just one of the coolest, smartest, most certified people on the planet. So hypnosis, NLP, she's a Peruvian shaman, like literally went back and forth to Peru for 9 years to learn that. Psychologist, a social worker, you name it, she's got it. Now, she didn't want to charge $297 because she thought it was a little bit too high, but has been consistently running 3 groups of 8 at the $225 price point, $5,400 a month or $65,000 a year. And by the way, she has a lineup of people who want to work with her on different unique topics, in large part because of her broad range of expertise. Brilliant woman. So can you think that through all the way? That's 3 nights a month, $5,400 a month. Truth of the matter is, I believe there's a bunch of people on this line in terms of your background and your experience who could totally 1000% do that. Here's another example. Dear friend of mine, Marco Ifredi, he was a board member of CAPS, the Canadian Association of Public Speakers, one of the top personal trainers in Calgary. How I met him actually is I hired him as a Christmas present for my dear wife working out, and she liked him so much. She said I should hire him. I did. We became friends. He is writing his thesis on this concept of learn and burn, which is really brilliant and fantastic. Now, he ran 2 groups, health and wellness and financial freedom, and he did it at the low end. Both with $97, both with just 10 members, and do the math, 2 nights a month, $24K a year, as just one more way of bringing value to his tribe, value to his community, to serve and support. A little sidebar to that, which I think is really fascinating and beautiful, is this financial freedom thing, is that, This financial freedom thing is something that he decided he wanted to work more diligently on in terms of passive income and those sorts of things. His positioning around it was simply this, is I am going to learn. I'm going to bring great content. I'm going to share what works and what doesn't work. And if you want to come and play and I will give you everything that I get, I will share it with you. So he did not position himself as an expert. He positioned himself as somebody who was dedicated to mastering this and letting people share along the way. So he went and took courses. He hired me. He hired a bunch of other people and simply shared what he learned with his group for $97. Think that one through, by the way, because it is one of the most beautiful ways under the sun to be with a group. You're responsible for leading. You're responsible for going and collecting content. You're responsible for going and investing in other areas and other people's programs. Then you can then share with other people. That works stunning. Now, Miss Carol, I hope you are still on the line. I got to tell you, and just as straight as I can say it, that this made my day. I laughed, I smiled, I shared it with people who were on our partner list. It just really rocked my world. So I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to unmute you, see if you want to add anything to that, as long as I can find you in this long list, which does not appear to be in alphabetical order. So be a little patient with me. Jay, all I can say is thank you. After having only watched your introductory Mastermind to Millions video, I'm now diving way deeper into all of your juicy manuals and in-depth videos. Amazing. I knew I was ready to launch my first Mastermind. I had been thinking about it for months and decided to take action. I launched it within the next 2 days, and I had 8 of the 10 spots filled within 24 hours. You've provided the inspiration and enough know-how that I just chose to make it happen. You rock. I can't wait to see you at the live training. Carol Schulte. So Carol, I'm going to try and find you here. Now, Carol and I met originally in Toronto when I was bringing Laurel Langmeyer to Toronto for a program there. Laurel and I do lots of work together. And turns out that she has family that's actually very nearby where I live in Calgary, which is kind of a weird thing. So I was so glad to see this note. So Carol, I'm going to unmute you if you're willing. And if you just want to add anything that you want to share to that, because I just want to say, number one, thank you for the number one taking action. Thank you for sending the note. And you freaking rock.
As do you, Jay. So thank you so much. And I'm very, very thrilled. And I knew it was an idea that I had for a while. And I was like, you know what? All that you shared made just such sense. And I was like, you're right. I've been facilitating for a while. I really just want to share all that I've been learning from some amazing programs that I've taken the last little while. And I know I wanted to be in the mastermind program. So I thought, well, why not create it? And I'm very lucky in that I have a lot of amazing women entrepreneurs in my networking groups and in my sort of world. So I thought, okay, what is it that I want to learn? And so after watching your first video, I basically sat down and said, okay, what are potential themes that I want to do over the next 6 months, and who is my dream team? So I basically got really clear on the 6 areas. I wanted to include a hot seat, and then I wrote out the people that I really want to work with, and then I called them. I had written out a script of what my invitation would be like, but it was very genuine and authentic. And some of the girls that I work with knew that I'd been thinking about this for a little while. So I reached out to them and said, I would love to work with you. I know you're ready to play a bigger game in your business. This is who I want to be involved. I made some calls to some women who are further ahead in their business, who I've made sure to support through the time and acknowledge, and ask them to be guests who are experts in marketing, products and services, and operations and financials. And so they agreed. So I've got 3 guests already on board, and then the transformation work I really want to do, spend some time on vision, clarity, and mindset. I'll be doing that for the first 3 months, and then the actual how-to in the last 3 months. So I'm really, really excited, and then I'm going to be launching a retreat to celebrate after the end of the 6 months.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I guess the thing that I want everyone to hear in that process is that number one, it was fast. Number two, it was simple. Number three, you relied on support, bringing in other experts. Number four, you leveraged the relationships that you have built, and that is how this works really so stunningly beautiful. Because I think that your speed of filling, I want people to hear something, which is every single person on this call has people who like them, love them, want more of them, and are just looking for a way to get closer, to have that support, to engage in some way, shape, or form. And that's what masterminds are, is another way of engaging that really works powerfully. So thank you for sharing that. Anything else you want to add before we get back at it?
Just quickly, I can relate to some of the folks who said, oh gosh, $160,000, I can't do that. I knew that because it was my first one, I wanted to price it at something I felt comfortable with. And so I priced it at $97. And I knew that that was amazing value. So I had no problems going to the people that I wanted in there, saying this is what you're going to get and this is the price.
Yes.
So do what feels comfortable for you, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, and I just want to ditto that, and it's funny because that dinner party was astounding and was a contextual shift and change for me personally. But I need people to hear and understand that in the last, hell, even just in the last 8 years, I have run masterminds at every price point that you can imagine. All the way from $97 all the way up to $16,000 and everything in between. It's about the positioning and the value and the target, and you choose what's appropriate for all of those things. There's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. But I really love this idea of $97, and I will bet almost anything that with the value as you described it and who you are at the end of this process, that there's an upgrade path for people who want to continue to work with you that won't be at $97.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And I think also with my confidence, the next mastermind I launch will be able to be a little bit more too, right? So
Yes.
yeah. So thank you. You're
Beautiful.
awesome.
Thank you. You too. I really appreciate you sharing that.
No worries.
So, gang, going back to what I said earlier, you can do it. No ifs, no ands, no buts. So, now, I was a little ahead of myself in terms of timing, but now is when I want to just ask you to please, please, please take a moment or two. And the questions, by the way, are flying in like mad. And I will do my very best to answer them. And what I want you to know is that we have designed both a live program and we have designed an online program that are designed to answer all of these questions, give you the practice to facilitate, understand how you do your positioning, have your hand held throughout that entire process. Because as simple as Carol makes it, please hear one of the things that she said. I've been facilitating for quite some time. I felt confident in my capacity to do that. And obviously she does it well because people, boom, we're right there for her. Sometimes it takes a little bit more work. Sometimes it takes a little bit more confidence. Sometimes it takes a little bit more preparation. And that's what we do. So please consider participating in this program because it will be one of the best things you ever did for your business. So what the 90-day Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp program is everything that you require to create, market, fill, and lead successful, powerful, and profitable masterminds. And if at the end of this conversation, just to be clear about this, up to this point, how many of you through this conversation are at the spot of, geez, I really do need to launch a mastermind. I really do need to get this up and running. I really do need to transform how I've been doing things. If that's true for you, I want you just to type in yes, that I get that this is something that I must do to shift my results and to shift the context of how I do business. If that's true for you, perfect. So that's what we have designed here, and I want to share with you. So you get 7 live coaching and training calls with me. And I want to be clear about this. You don't get shuffled off to another coach or trainer. You get all of my experience, all of my wisdom, all of my resources, all of my mistakes I bring to you so that you can literally leapfrog me and do this fast, easy, and joyful. Now, the 7 live coaching and training calls are wrapped around the 6 training modules. And I want you to understand something, that these 6 training modules, it is imperative that you line these up. You got to line these up. And I don't know if any of you have kids, but if you do have kids, maybe you remember this toy. And I'm just going to try and draw it. It's the one that has, so there's the platform and there's the thing, and then there's all the different sizes of rings. And so there's a big ring, then there's the next biggest ring and the next biggest ring, and it goes down to, the top. So I want you to think of it from this perspective, is that is how these modules are designed. And the biggest ring is perfect positioning. And what transpires is how this whole thing works is that we get a welcome call. In the welcome call right after that, we release the perfect positioning module, and then you do the work through the module. And by the way, there's handouts, there's videos, there's conversations, there's coaching calls, there's a ton of resources for you. And then what happens is once you're done that, then we get together and we have a live coaching call where we coach you to execute the application of what you've learned. Then the next week, we release the Your Personal Evolution module. And this is about being the leader that your tribe wants to follow. You do all of the work through that entire process. You identify what your strong points are so you can bring those to your group. You identify what your weak points are so that you can get them compensated for, managed, shifted so that you can be of great value. Then we do a live coaching call with you. Now, by the way, this is one of my little sweet spots. This is what I've been doing for 25 years. I can see people's mission, their weaknesses, their challenges, their gifts in 5 minutes flat, and I can really serve you to get in alignment so that works. Now, we've got our positioning done. We've got ourselves all lined up. Then we have to fill the mastermind. So then we release, of course, the Fill Your Mastermind with Ease. You go do all of the work. By the way, that manual is just one piece of how we go through that process. And then we have, of course, coaching call so that you're going to do it. Now, here's a little hint, by the way. I'm a teacher at heart, and I think you obviously get that. I'm not an internet marketer. I'm a teacher at heart. And in this process, you will actually lead 2 events, one online and one in person, that are designed to fill your masterminds. And you are going to do that within the program with this module right here. And we're going to coach you and hold your hand through that process. So this is not going to be one of those things that you just get to watch, la-di-da, I'll see how this goes. You are going to actually build this thing while we're in it. That's why it's called the Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp. It's not the Think About Your Mastermind Bootcamp. After that's done, now you actually have a mastermind you're ready to launch. Then we do all of the work around member commitment, knowing that we have positioned ourselves well, you haven't been chasing them, but what are the specific ways in which you're going to design this membership commitment that keeps people engaged? And we'll teach you how to facilitate that one-day launch piece, which is totally stunning and amazing. Then, of course, we release facilitator skills, live coaching on facilitator skills, and we are going to give you practice and match you up into groups where you get to practice facilitating this breakthrough hot seat strategy. And that is going to be a part of your that is going to be a big part of your homework, where you get to get feedback from other people in the group, feedback from other people engaged in this process who know what the hell it is, so that when you launch your first hot seats, people are going to be blown away in terms of value, depth, and really just how fantastic you do it. And then we release, of course, compelling content. So what is the content that you want to adapt and share into like 30 minutes to 45-minute powerful hits that people who are your members can now apply to their lives directly and powerfully? And please hear this, sometimes it isn't even so much about application. It's just about being one of the most fascinating people at the cocktail party that knows and experiences things that few other people do. And it keeps them coming back for more. Then, of course, there's our final coaching call, which gets all of this stuff working. So that's how the program works. And I want to be really clear about this. This is not one of those online programs like, well, yeah, go watch it if you want. That's not what we're talking about at all. This is a program that steps you through, helps you do it, builds the foundation, and rolls the thing out. In addition to that, there's a VIP member forum where I and my mastermind mentors are there to serve and support fast. But you also get to draw upon the resources, the expertise, and the experience of other people who are in the process. This hot seat breakthrough training, we will be adding as your facilitating skills process happens. We will add additional support on that just because it is so damn important. We'll share with you an inordinate number of case studies. I mean, we hardly scratched the surface here. And we will do a bunch of member spotlights, actually not so different than what we just did with Carol. But as she's further down the road, she'll be able to share with you what worked, what didn't work. What is she going to tweak when she re-ups the price and re-engages people? So those are all of the pieces for the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp. Now, I want to be clear about this. I just spent a whole bunch of time on what it is, but here's the thing that I want you to know that's more important than what it is. This is what it does. It transforms how you approach your business. It transforms you from this one-on-one model operating often from scarcity. And by the way, when I say scarcity, that's sometimes scarcity of clients, which is, oh my God, I just need to get 3 more clients. But I'm willing to bet there's a bunch of people on here they're suffering from scarcity of time. You've actually built a really kick-ass coaching business, but you're hitting your head on the ceiling of, oh, damn it. If I want to make more money, I've got to trade more of my time. So when I say operating from scarcity, it applies to both clients and it applies to time, into the experience of operating your business from a space of abundance, an abundance of money, an abundance of time, perhaps most importantly, an abundance of contribution, an abundance of value for your clients. That's what this thing does. So I don't want you to get too sucked into or stuck on the exact mechanics and models and all the rest of it. The truth is, some of you are going to be really fantastic facilitators, but you haven't nailed positioning. Some of you are going to be, fantastic marketers to get your masterminds full, but you've been having a really tough time with actually maintaining member commitment. The truth of the matter is that you need all 6. And I know some of you are looking at the list going, oh, I've got 4 of them. Yahoo. Honest to God, as straight as I can say it, 4 is not enough. 4 will lead to a great launch and a shitty execution and people leaving and not renewing. This is a process of all 6. And I tell you, I don't know of another human being on planet Earth that has as much experience in identifying these 6, serving and supporting people to line up these 6 so that your masterminds stand the test of time. I have a mastermind called the Online Business Breakthrough. We could call it a premium mastermind. I guess it's $15,000, and we help people bridge this idea of whether they're a coach, author, or trainer, get their message out to the world online. Also, a bunch of bricks and mortar businesses. But I want to be clear about that. In that room, in that group, I have 2 members who have been with me, doing work with me for almost, I think it's 23 years. I have members in that room who have been with me and working with me for 12 years, for 7 years, for 9 years. Like, when you really get this right, people stick with you. And that's one of the biggest differences in the universe. So on that note then, what I want you to also realize is, as we go through this, is that I'm a little bit tough to get to. So my price point, if you were just to deal with me, would be like $25,000. That's how it goes. But please understand, you're not going to do that. The Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp, we are going to share with you for $19.97. And what that means is you get all of the 7 live calls. You get all of the online resources. You get all of those pieces. And by the way, I just want to share and show you something really, really fast so you can get a sense of this, is that you have your own, welcome to the, here we go. This is what the membership site looks like. And by the way, for any of you who is on the line and have been around for a little while, you all know that wherever the video freezes, I always look like I'm in the midst of having a seizure. So just you can look forward to whatever video shows up. What seizure is Jay having today? But what I want you to understand is that this is how it goes. I've bought programs where it's like, great, I'm going to do perfect positioning. And I get in there and there's like 1 video. That's not how it works for us, is that you have an inordinate number. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 in-depth videos. But in addition to that, almost all of the videos have a series of downloads and worksheets that you can follow along, that you can write with, that you can scribble on. You can get all of those things handled. And we step you through that entire process. Now, there's also an interesting bonus that is here that I don't even have written down on the page, but it is going to be available to you, which is business models that work. And this is one of the most important pieces for you to contextualize shifting your own context away from just the one-on-one model to this idea of how do I scale a business with joy, passion, freedom, all of those pieces. So I just need you to know, as plain as I can say it, the content in the calls is stunning. It is really quite fantastic. And we give you, I just want to show you this one-on-one consultation model. So we give you the worksheets that you're going to work through. We give you a opt-in form example. We give you a application form example. We give you a contract example. This thing is the whole kit and caboodle in one spot, with me stepping and guiding you through every single step of it on video, and then of course live in person on the calls. So I just wanted to show you that because I think that it's a really important piece to know the depth of the content and the training. So what that boils down to is this: you get all of those 7 calls and all of those modules for $19.97. And now here's the thing: for the first 20 people on this live training, there's a whole bunch of really kick-ass bonuses. And I want to make this as easy as possible for you to say yes to yourself. And I know that a bunch of you don't know who the hell I am. You watched me on video 3 days ago and all of those pieces. And there's a bunch of you on the line who do know who I am. But I need you to understand this. I want to make it as easy as possible for you to say yes to you. So here are the bonuses. And they kick ass, by the way, just as straight as I can say it. So bonus number 1. If you're one of the first 20 who takes action on this today, you also get the Mastermind to Millions live event that happens in Las Vegas, if any of you are Vegas fans, and that is December 4th to 6th. And what we are going to do is actually work through a bunch of the 6 pillars that we were talking about. You are going to learn your perfect position. You're going to get to test that in mastermind groups with other mastermind leaders. We are going to give a whole bunch of tools in terms of actually not just hosting events, but how to speak about masterminds in a way that can fill a mastermind with a single speaking engagement. So that's a value of $9.97, which I think is exceptionally low for that. In addition to that, when you get started, you really got to have your positioning nailed. If you get your positioning nailed, you can actually start marketing and inviting people into your mastermind immediately, just like Carol gave an example of. So we are going to give you an additional coaching session with a mastermind mentor who is going to focus exclusively on this positioning piece so that you feel confident, grounded, and clear that this is who I am, this is why I'm an expert at it, this is what the value is you're going to get out of the mastermind, and goodness sakes, go out and have some conversations about it. So that's a $500 value. On top of that, we have a training called the Mastermind Essentials Training. And that is a 4-hour foundational training that if any of you are 7 Habits of Highly Effective People fans, is that this is about beginning with the end in mind. I've given you this high-level overview of don't make this mistake, don't make that mistake, don't make this mistake, yahoo. That's all good, and I know that it's valuable for you. But really what you need is, if we go back to that little stacking scenario, is you need to get clear, heart, mind, and soul, how each of these 6 aspects of training are going to roll out for you in your mastermind. What are you strong at that we need to leverage and apply in other areas? What are your weak points at so that we can totally get this aligned so that your masterminds knock it out of the park? So that's a 4-hour training. It happens at the beginning of our training process, and honest to God is like I would call it a quantum accelerator, and that's $497. And then we had talked about the members manual, and I had somebody ask about the companion manual. Hey, can we just buy that, or could we get that as a freebie? There's one way to get it, and that is to become a member of the Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp program, and that is $97. So you get all of these aspects, all of them, which, by the way, if you do the quick math, you can see that the bonuses are worth even more than the $19.97. So that accumulates to be over $2,000 of bonuses as well. And you can get all of that for free for the first 20 people who are going to attend the live training and make a commitment. So you get all of that free. So here's the thing, is that we are doing 4 live trainings this weekend. This is our third, and our next live training starts at 7 p.m. tonight. And we need for you to make an agreement with yourself, take a stand for committing to yourself, and clicking the button and getting yourself registered. And how you do that is you just go to mastermindtomillions.com/join. Now, I guess the thing that I want to say about this is that if you look at all of the contribution that we've made to you on the free basis, I got to let you know that the paid program is going to knock your socks off. And here's how certain we are of the paid program is going to knock your socks off, is that we give you a complete 100% money back guarantee. It's just that simple. If you are dissatisfied and you've done the work and you've showed up the programs and this has not worked for you in any way, shape, or form, you let us know. We'll send you your money back. Because I want to be clear about this. I am uninterested in having somebody just join the program. I am heartfelt excited about serving and supporting people to launch masterminds, which shares their gift with the world and contributes your unique value. Our objective here is for you to lead masterminds, which is very different than many people's objective, which is for you to join the program. You are going to do this. That's what we stand for. You're going to do this. And if you're ready, and if you want all of those bonuses, click the button, be one of the first 20, and we will knock your socks off. Now, if you're sitting there going, I'm not so sure, I want to share something with you. I am a business person. And every time I spend 5 cents, I always ask this question, return on investment. What is the value? Return on investment. What is the value? And one of the things I would ask you to consider is this, and this is in alignment with my core business, the Creator's Code, is that we teach this fundamental idea that creators don't ask how much something costs. Creators ask what the value is. Consumers ask how much something costs without knowing what the value proposition is. So I want to share with you a couple of examples of value. So we're talking about 1997. Now, that's an investment. And depending on your circumstances, that could be a significant investment, or it might be a drop in the hat. Doesn't much matter. But I want you just to look at this from the perspective of ROI. And if we were to use Carol's example, simply this: a group of 10 at $97. And I want to be very clear about this. When we say a group of 10, we're talking about one group of 10. If you're going to go through the process of learning this, you better be thinking broader than one, in my humble opinion. But one group of 10 at $97 a month is $11,640. A return on investment of 583%. Now, I don't know how many of you have any sort of term deposits or anything at the bank, but in Canada, if you're doing well, you can get a 2% return on investment from your term deposit. Yeehaw! Now, your break even is 1.8 people. So by the time you enroll your third person, you are already, please hear this, you're already in a profitable position. 3 people, you're profitable. And here's the thing, your delivery time is going to be less than 48 hours. In terms of, and by the way, I'm thinking of a 1-year program, approximately 3.5 hours meeting time, 12 times a year. That's what we're talking about. So don't, how much it costs, honest to God, is irrelevant. The truth of the matter is that what we're saying here is this, is that here's a system, here's a process, tried and true, proven, we'll hold your hand through it. And if you were to give me $2,000, I'll get you back $11,600. This is an investment. I don't want you to think about this as a course. I don't want you to think about this as a training. I don't want you to think about it in any way, shape, or form. I want you to think about it as, this is an investment I have made in changing my business, that I am going to roll out my mastermind within 90 days that is going to give me an ROI of at least 583%. At least. Now, let's actually have some more fun with this. Now, again, I'm going to talk about just one group. But if you did just one group at $297 a month, now we're talking about $35,000, which, by the way, if you go back to that International Coaching Federation, is that this would be working one night a month, a group of 10 people at $297, $35K, which, by the way, is significantly higher than the average coach is making working one night a month, which, by the way, there's an extra digit here. We'll just take this off. And that, by the way, is 1,784% rate of return. And your break even is half a person. By the time you, good God, sell one person at $297, and your entire investment and all of the support that we will give you, all of the tools, is paid for. Little sidebar. I paid more than this to do the Mastermind Mentors Manual. I paid more than this to get the contracts written. I paid more than this to join my first mastermind and find out what the hell I was doing. I paid more than this. Like, the value is crazy, is the short answer. So that's the investment. But I want to also, let's be serious about this. If you don't change your business model and you stay with the one-on-one model, this is what this looks like. To make $12,000 at $200 an hour, that's 60 hours of coaching. So number one, your coaching time goes way up. By the way, research currently says this is that people are spending 3 times the amount of time that they coach finding the client. So that would have us at 180. That would be 248 hours versus 40, whatever the other, I think it was 44 hours versus 44 hours. And by the way, let's add up to that. If you're going to be doing the Fill Your Mastermind with Ease model, we could round up that piece to, another 6 or 8 hours. So it's still 50 hours compared to 240. This gets really crazy when you start looking at this. To make $36,000 at $200 an hour, it's 180 hours of coaching, not to mention the number of clients that you have to find and what that current ratio is. Even if you got really good at getting clients and it wasn't 3 times, it's probably 2 times, and we're talking about 360 hours versus 60 hours. I mean, it's just, you can begin to see when you crunch the numbers of a coaching model how challenging it is. I mean, I have, and I could get on a rant about, I frankly get myself worked up over, as we've been having this conversation, there's probably 22 coaching schools in the world that have cranked out another 2,000 coaches that say, great, go sell your time for money. And I feel like going and kicking their ass, to be perfectly honest. But the other side of it is this, is that you will pay with a community around you that will not be as strong as if you had a mastermind. Your income is obviously going to have a ceiling based on time worked. And that, by the way, creates scarcity of time, which I think is, I got 2 boys and I got a lovely wife. We've been together for 30 years. Time is the most valuable resource in my world. And your opportunities to scale, how you're going to bring this thing up, will be limited because time and money will both be scarce. And honest to God, gang, last thing I want to say about this that I think is imperative is the real risk of this is of trading time for money is being wounded by your gift. You came to this business. You came to coaching, training, consulting because you've got something to share. That's the truth of it. You really, really do. But if you don't master it and get your business sustainable, you're going to be like one of hundreds of thousands of other coaches who ends up going and getting a part-time job or perhaps another full-time job, has a second mortgage on their house, has their credit cards maxed. And where that ends is with people being wounded by their gift, which is like, how is it that I came to give my gift to the world and I've accumulated debt and I've put a burden on my family and I don't think that there's anything more painful and challenging and heartbreaking than someone having a gift to share with the world and then becoming wounded at their core by trying to share their gift. And please understand, for only one reason, most people had a ridiculous business model and didn't have a snowball's chance in hell right from the beginning. It's a crime. In my humble opinion, it's a crime, which is why I really want you to do this program. So I want to tell you a little bit about the dates and how all of that works out and all of those things. So Thursday, May 7th, we do our welcome call. Right after the welcome call, we open up perfect positioning. Now, which is, by the way, and it's not on this sheet because it's not a part of the traditional program. Then on Saturday the 9th, we are doing that, the Mastermind Essentials training. That's a 4-hour process. So that's squeezed right in here. So you'll be able to get through you'll be able to introduce yourself to the perfect positioning model, and you'll be able to do the Mastermind Essentials right in between. Then Tuesday, May 12th, we have our live coaching call for perfect positioning. 1 week later, personal evolution module is open. 1 week later, we do the coaching on the personal evolution. And we just continue to go through that process all the way through to July 21st, which is our final coaching call on compelling content. Now, if you can't make any of the coaching calls or one of the coaching calls, please know 3 things will help you navigate that. Number 1, we will record all of the calls. And number 2, the live Facebook group, you can ask questions, you can share, you can post your questions and comments. Me and my mastermind mentors will be there to respond. So even if you can't make one, you will get all of that content, you will get all of that support, and we will still answer questions specific to your particular application and make sure that you get what you need to get up and running. Which of course takes me back to this. Truthfully, you couldn't get me for $25K. I'm too swamped, I'm too busy. That would be the intro point. But you can get me for $19.97. Me, my team, my resources, my experiences, my manuals, my processes, all of which have generated strong 7 figures over the years. By the way, every year over the years. And you should be doing it too. So again, for the first 20 live people, it is as simple as this. You get another over $2,000 in bonuses, which are the Mastermind to Millions live event in Vegas. Bring on Vegas. Coaching session with a mastermind mentor for $500. That's worth $500. They will make sure that your positioning is strong so the rest of the program makes sense to you. Your Masterminds Essentials training, which is this 4 hours of begin with the end in mind, making sure that you truly, genuinely know your strong points, your weak points, and come up with a strategy to address them in the program. And of course, the Members Manual, which is the complement to the Mastermind Mentors Manual that makes you look like a professional rock star, and your members know exactly where you're going, what you're doing, and how you're doing it. And again, you get that as a doc file, so you can just go, use the go to and replace command, tweak it, and it's yours. You get all of those pieces free when you make a decision to participate with us prior to 6 p.m. Pacific for $19.97. And just to be clear about this, that's a really important point because our next and last live training starts at 7 p.m. and my team has to turn everything around for us to do this for the very last time. So mastermindtomillions.com/join. We will take good care of you. I give you my word that this will exceed your process, exceed your expectations, and you are not buying a program. You are investing in the creation of a mastermind that will pay for itself, even at the lowest end, and even if you only did one, almost 600 times over. That's the reality of this. 600 times over. One mastermind group, $97 a month, it's done. This is a no-brainer in my humble opinion, and you can do this. You can 1,000% do this. All right, gang. So that was everything I wanted to get out there. I know that there's 2,000 different questions, and I know that my team is doing their very best to get this thing handled, and we're doing all of those elements. So I want to just also, of course, as I had promised, make sure that you get the Hot Seat Strategy Manual. So I'm just going to pop that open. Here is the link. So the link to the Hot Seat Breakthrough Strategies is mastermindtomillions.com/hot seat. So mastermindtomillions.com/hot seat. And download it, read it, test it, try it, and just know that when this process, we will be testing and you will be practicing and you will be facilitating live when you take the Launch Your Mastermind 90-day bootcamp. And we're also, we do in our live training that we're going to do in Vegas, you will have a chance to do this with other mastermind mentors, get real live feedback, test them, try them, share your facilitating skills, your wins and your challenges and all those pieces. This process is a game changer when you do it well, like an epic game changer. So want to just go through a brief couple of questions and I will hang out here. I know we went a little bit longer than we'd thought, but I want to be very clear that I want to support you to, number one, make a decision that works for you. And I think really the first questions that I would like to just address and put on the table is this, is that if any of you are on the fence, it's like, I'd really, really like to do this, but I'm sort of on the fence and I'm not sure, and all of those pieces, just do me a favor and just type in on the little chat window, just type in on the fence. And what I'd like to do in terms of answering questions is this, is that if you're on the fence and you're unsure about this, and you're willing to have a conversation about it, then, first of all, put on the fence. And then after that, just put in that you're interested in being unmuted, and you can just say, unmute me. And if that's the case, then I am totally willing to have a conversation with you, because what I can tell you for sure is what your concerns are, or what your questions are, or what your uncertainty is not just yours. That there's a multitude of people on the line here. Quite frankly, hundreds and hundreds of people on the line here who probably have some of exactly the same considerations. And I want you to understand this whole piece, that in a brief conversation, it is not my agenda to sell you. It is my agenda for you to make a conscious decision in alignment with who you want to become, with what you want to create. And whatever your decision is, I have complete and epic respect for. I just want you to make it in a clear and conscious manner. So if any of you want to have that conversation, you can just say, unmute me, and I'm happy to have that conversation, and away we go. Anything under the sun, I'm happy to do. So Cecilia, I'm just going to find you, my dear. Give me 1 second. Okay, I am unmuting you, Cecilia Rayner, because we actually have several of you. Hey, Cecile, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Cool. How could I be of service?
Well, especially by the end, I realized you kept talking about, if you've been coaching for, or you're starting to coach and all this, and it just dawned on me suddenly that even though I've been kind of doing some spiritual coaching just because that's who I am, that's who I've always been, um, it's not my training, it's not even my profession. I'm an Alexander Technique teacher, but I teach it from a spiritual perspective. And so I'm just, for me, that concept of the mastermind is new. Because before I was like, I can't do this because I can't use my hands. But then I realized that I've been 2/3 of my teaching has been coaching, and only 1/3 has been hands-on. So I figured maybe there's a way that and the other thing is I've had a blog that I started a year ago, and I have 9,000 people who read it, and I have people who've told me that I was able to help them become aware of what they're doing in their body just from one blog. So then I thought maybe with a mastermind group I can help more people more.
Yes. So Cecile, can I ask just a quick question? So I think actually, and I just want to acknowledge this for other people, by the way, is that we've been overwhelmed with questions, and I have done my very best to get to as many as we can, and some we compile. But if I remember correctly, you do this with yoga, and both for practitioners and with yoga instructors as well, and you were concerned about blending them. Am I talking to the right person?
You're talking to the right person, and I
Wow.
mean, I've been teaching.
What are the odds of that? Okay. Okay. So,
I've been teaching the Alexander Technique to anyone who was interested, but that venture to bring it to a specific niche, which has been the yoga niche, I started only a year ago. Mm-hmm. So it feels like still new, but I've made lots of progress. But it seems that it seems like I need to use the world as to reach out to more people. That if I focus just on one-on-one, it's not getting where I have too much to offer to stick to just the one-on-one.
I get it.
But can I do this? Can I do this with my 2/3 coaching?
Well, so let me share a couple of ideas with you. So one of the things that really I think is a powerful process, and I'm just going to use an example, is that, again, remember that the masterminds can be set up any way that your heart desires, and we can be really free with that. So if, in my humble opinion, if the 2/3 of it is coaching, that really it sounds as though a group environment with a spiritual grounding that could happen online or in person really does seem to fit. You can separate the process out in such a way that you can also then have a special live event. So an example that I do is I do the online business breakthrough, which is quite techy, frankly, in terms of what this means, how software works, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that occurs is I have people who are in person live at my house when I'm going through it. We also have people participating simultaneously from all over the world via Google Hangouts, and we manage that process really quite well. But I also have a live weekend that we call a production weekend, where we set up a television studio, we set up a automated webinar studio, we set up all of these things where everybody comes together, and then we actually do the hands-on work with and for them. So I just want you to expand the possibility that you can design a system where there's a time and a place for the hands-on work. There's a time and a place where we do the coaching. There's a time and a place where we tap in spiritually, and it can be adapted. And honest to goodness, if you've got 9,000 people reading your blog, you'd have your masterminds filled, I think, as fast as Carol. So my challenge to you would be, you know your technique better than obviously anyone else. and you know how it fits. And by the way, yoga teachers and yoga instructors, I think, is like the most brilliant targeting thing in the world. That particular market is exploding, and everyone is looking for a unique way of expanding their skills and positioning. I really love that idea, and I believe this would fit. Now, are there any other specific questions? Because I have about 30 people with their hands up, and I'm going to get to as many as I can. Anything else I can answer for you, Cecile?
Well, I don't want to take your time, but I understood your answers, that I could bring in the hands-on part with the live event, and I guess maybe a quick question is that I've been understanding that it's important to talk to people's top of mind concern, and what I'm bringing to the community, to the yoga community, is not necessarily something that they're aware that they need. And so is that something that would be in the way of the mastermind being successful?
Yeah.
Successful.
Possibly, Cecile, and honestly, I am not an expert in the yoga world by any stretch of the imagination, but I have 3 clients who are yoga teachers. And what I know of those 3 clients is that they are consistently looking for something unique about them, because there are so many yoga teachers getting certified, trying to build practices, all of those pieces. So my thought would be simply this, is that your unique additional resource as a yoga instructor, I think, could be positioned in such a way that, maybe the Alexander technique isn't the top of the mind awareness for a yoga teacher, but positioning themselves as someone and something unique absolutely is. And that's where that first module of our program, where we work on the positioning and making sure it is exactly on for who you are, your expertise, and who the members of the group are and what they want. I think that we could position that in a powerful way that would work.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you. So in terms of just our emails and stuff, I get you, and I get what you're doing, and I would love to have you a part of the program. I think you'd knock it out of the park. So if this resonates with you, come join us. We'll have a blast, and I'll be thrilled to serve you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. All right. And I'm just trying to see this. So same thing. There we go. Okay. Could I call you tomorrow? Yes, and my team, just to be clear, my team will do everything they can to support you. If for whatever reason there's troubles or difficulties getting stuff processed, no worries at all. And just to be clear about this, because sometimes what happens is, if a purchase, because somebody's having trouble, I shouldn't say somebody, a few people are having trouble with credit card stuff. If your purchase is deemed by your credit card company to be out of the ordinary, no worries. We can see that on our end, and we will, of course, honor you being one of the first 20 live training attendees for all of the bonuses. You just need to call your bank, talk to them. They'll say, yes, you authorize it. It's all well and fine. But when we can see that you have taken action, we'll, of course, honor that. So not to worry about that. We'll get it squared away and straightened away for sure. I just want to make sure if there's anyone else who wants to chat about it. Yes, David, dear friend of mine, I can absolutely, I've already addressed that. We'll take care of it for you, not to worry. Not to worry, not to worry. Okay, make sure that now Gary Page. Gary, I just see that you had said that. I'm just going to try and find you on the list. If you can bear with me one moment. Gary, I'm just coming to you to unmute you. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you hear me?
There we go. I've got you now.
Pardon me, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I've got you now.
Okay.
How could I be of service?
Well, I'm certainly impressed with what you've done and what you have. I'm just transferring from being a full-time pastor and making that transition into retirement. I'm all for doing this. As a matter of fact, I used to be a speaker for Mark Victor Hansen.
Oh, cool.
Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yes.
And author of a couple of parenting books. Just putting a course online, a self-counseling course they did for my doctorate.
Wow.
But to lay out almost $2,000 right now. I can't do that, but I can do it over a period of time, like so much a month.
Yeah, we can absolutely work with you on payments, Gary. Not to worry, for sure, for sure.
Okay, otherwise I would certainly sign up, because I think I just want to get this going and working, because I'm working with people now. I'm doing a lot of work for free, which I did as a pastor pro bono. That's why I'm not a rich man now.
Well, but
But I'm
let's
not
be clear.
doing
It's
that. I
also,
don't get a salary from church anymore.
yeah, that's also an incredibly important work.
Well, I think so. I spent my life doing it.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. Actually, my support team was just saying, so Gary, if you want to, in terms of handling the payment arrangement, if you want to just put your phone number in the little chat window there, my team
right now.
my team will follow up with you and make sure that they get it all handled in a way that works for you. So can I ask you?
Could they do that on Monday? Today being a worship day?
Yeah, absolutely they can. Yeah, and just please put down Monday because of worship day. That's absolutely fantastic. Now, quick question: would you want to build your mastermind groups around the parenting work that you're doing, or
No,
you?
actually, I want to build it around two things, because I now have 2 books and two more going on as ebooks on Amazon.
Cool.
One of my books has been there for years now already, but I'm also putting a self-counseling course online, so that people can do their own therapy, in effect, based on my therapy work as a psychotherapist.
Love that.
I want to put that into a mastermind format, but I would like to start off, because I already have people are asking me, how did I do what I do with the books?
Right.
To do that as a mastermind group.
So one would be publishing, one would be the
One would be writing
psychotherapy.
writing and publishing ebooks.
Love that. And just a little sidebar to that. My history and my work has been in the personal transformation world, which I love. It is, to me, the most important, work in the universe is this awareness of consciousness and our purpose and our mission and why we're here, all the rest of it. But make no mistake about it, and I say this not just for your benefit, Gary, but for everyone on the line, is that when it comes time to market something, a business program is honestly 10 times easier to market than is a personal development program. So everyone on the line who has, the range of depth and experience that you have, start with what's easiest, my friends. Start with what's easiest. And then as that gets comfortable, then do whatever your little heart desires.
Yeah, I think a mastermind, getting people to write, because I was an English teacher for 20 some years.
Oh, wow.
As well as being a pastor.
Fantastic. Okay. We'll take good care of you on Monday. Is there anything else I could do to serve and support?
No, that's good for me.
All right, Gary. I look forward to being of service to you, and I think we're gonna have lots of topics that we're gonna have to pare down at the beginning, but it'll be great. I look forward to it.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, take care. And Jen Hart, I'm just coming your way in terms of your hand up. If you can just bear with me a second. Somehow or another, Gary, I'm not sure how that transpired, but I see Jen, where did you go? Sorry, there's just, the list is daunting here. Just bear with me, please. Ms. Jen Hart, you are unmuted. How are you?
Wonderful.
Fantastic. How could I be of service to you?
I don't know if I can afford the first payments.
Okay. And is it just a payment issue thing that if it could be spread out a little bit longer, we could figure out a way for you?
That's exactly it for me. I canceled my credit card last month, and I would have to wait till Monday to renew it. Mm-hmm. I work full time.
Yeah. So can I ask a favor of you if you want to do that? Because and I guess I want to be really clear with people here is that again, we want to be of service. We want to find a way that works for you. We want to make certain that you roll this thing out and actually get a mastermind operational, like not now, but right now. So if I could ask you to just do the same thing that I asked Gary to do, please, is just put your phone number in, just say I'm in and committed, contact me Monday to make those arrangements, and we'll just have one of our team members call you. All good.
Yes, I would like that.
Okay, yeah. So just please put your name info in. My team will take great care of it, and I look forward to having you in the group and serving and supporting you. Now, I have a question for you, which is, so what is the area or the arena for your mastermind?
I would like to help healing professionals who are specializing in type 2 diabetics because I have a lot of information on what actually works to reverse diabetes. And after listening to you, I'm thinking that maybe what I really want to do is work only with the healing professionals and help support them to educate their clients as well as how to build their business for type 2 diabetics.
Fascinating. When we're working together, can you do me a favor and remind me to just because it's tough to keep track of everybody. It's a little bit daunting in these last couple of days. But when we're working together, please remind me to introduce you to friends and clients of mine, Dr. Christian Turbide and Angela Thompson. They are I've just helped them design and bring a program to market that is completely in alignment with what you're talking about. Maybe there's some way of you guys joint venturing or supporting with one another, but you guys are peas in a pod.
That sounds very exciting. Thank you.
Okay, you're very, very welcome. Anything else?
Where do I type in my?
Oh, just in that little chat window there, and it's only my team who can see it, and they'll take great care of you.
So it's private. That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, totally private. I was going to tease you a little bit there, but I'll just leave it be. It's totally private. It's all good.
Oh, you're a joker, I know. Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye. All right, gang, just seeing, and I'm doing my best to just do this in order, my friends, and and I believe next in order, if I can find it, is Peter Mazuchin, if I said that even remotely close. Hey, Peter, I'm just unmuting you. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am excellent. How could I be of service?
Well, I'm looking. I recently founded a real estate investors club, and I'm wondering how I could leverage this to expand that club exponentially.
I like that. So talk to me a little bit about the club, just so I get the broad strokes. I have a couple of friends and clients that do some similar work, which is fascinating to me.
Okay. Well, the club was actually based on the premise that I believe that everyone should be a real estate investor, and specifically my niche is spiritual real estate investing. And what I mean by that is where it's investing where everyone wins. I personally believe that someone doesn't have to lose for somebody to win. And I've already been helping investors for over 20 years, only doing it on a onesie scale, which is taken 20 years. That's why I've never started the club, because I just thought this, but now I wanted to scale it up. And so it made sense. So I did launch the club last November, and now I'm looking at, taking it to like 10 times that, 20 times that in the next couple of years.
Can I ask where you're out of?
I'm out of Mississauga. Well, the club's out of. I'm Brampton. My office is in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Another
good old Canadian. Yeah. Always love to meet a Canadian.
Thank you. Yeah.
So number one, I love the idea, and I have a great love for real estate and have played with it since I was very, very young. So I like the idea. I've never done it at scale either. What I can tell you for sure, though, is that I have helped people set up mastermind groups that are aimed at financial freedom. So I don't know if you saw in the live training, I was talking about my friend Marco, who did a program around financial freedom. One of those pieces that they explored was real estate, and in fact, they even came up with some pooling of money to do a couple of little projects and a couple of interesting, fascinating things. So I can tell you for certain that this actually matches, and it can work really, really well. And in fact, if you structure it in such a way that the mastermind group itself isn't just they're supporting one another in their individual ventures, but you actually have a method and a means for them to support one another in finding deals, executing deals, funding deals, all of those pieces. Those are some of the most fun groups under the sun, because you get to go and look at a property, you get to go and raise some capital and all of those pieces. So 1000% this can fit. The models and the freebie material that I sent you is more aimed at a sort of a personal development transformation model, but it is not difficult to adapt to this in any way, shape, or form. A couple of quick tweaks, and it provides people who are actively investing their money as opposed to the passively investing money, and that's just a ton of fun.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for explaining that. Well, see, what I want to do is somehow dovetail I'm thinking of a board of directors, and right now in my mind, I have 5 people that are unofficially on my board of directors in my mind. I consult with them, I seek them out for guidance, and vice versa, and basically they're helping me build this club. That's my unofficial board of directors. Now, that being said, the members themselves, most members want to be passive investors, and they don't want to do the hard work. So I'm thinking with myself and the other quote-unquote board of directors, we'd be doing the hard work about finding the properties, getting financing in place, getting the contractors in place, property management, and everything else. So handling all of that. And at the same time, we also do these educational workshops. So we're basically handing it to them on a silver platter because most people aren't willing to do all that work, yet they're willing to invest if something's already done for them.
Understood, Peter. And if I may plant a seed with you, just
Sure.
been around the loop a little bit, is that you actually have 2 mastermind groups there ready to roll. There's the passive mastermind group, and there's the active. And yes, I would agree that more people like passive, but there's also a really fantastic group in the active. So a whole bunch of other questions I really want to go through here, and I don't want to leave anything else I can answer or support you with in terms of making a decision to jump on in and play with us.
The other question I have is related to that. Is I'm also looking at building a real estate team, which would be a separate division completely, and then that way it'll free me up to focus on the investment part, on the investors club.
Perfect.
So wondering how this mastermind could leverage that somehow.
Again, I need a little bit more information. So what does the team look like?
Well, what it looks like right now is myself, and I have 2 buyers specialists, and I have a virtual assistant. That's what I currently have right now. I've had teams in the past, only now I'm looking at building this team to at least like perhaps adding an executive assistant / general manager and an inside sales associate.
Got it. So to me, what I hear you saying is that this model would really work well, much like my dear friend who had the manufacturing facility in Denver, and he put together a mastermind of his salespeople for generating new and unique ideas for utilizing production capacity. So mastermind processes work brilliantly on an internal basis. They need not always be an external basis for a paid fee. It can be an internal basis that knocks the thing out of the park. So I think if you're going to learn the process of masterminds, where and how you roll it out, honestly, then becomes I don't know how to say this, but you'll see it everywhere, and you'll be able to roll it out everywhere. So I think from what you're telling me, you got 3. You got your passive investors, you got your active people who want to learn how to do this process and do it together in a tribe of people that have wisdom and experience, and you have your internal, let's build this business and scale this club in a monumental way. There's 3 applications for this, and every single one of those applications would pay for the investment, I think, 1,000 times over. That's one of the things I love about real estate is the margin there. I think I perceive it to be a really powerful fit, and I'd love to have you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You are very welcome.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, Jay.
Hey, you're so welcome. I look forward to meeting you and working with you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Now, just trying to see if I've missed anyone. There's a Tyson.
Just let everyone know.
Let everyone know what?
There's 6 payments.
Oh, sorry, gang. My team has been hustling, trying to serve and support people. And what they have done while we've been on here, which I would just want to say thank you to them, they are rock stars, is that they've actually created a 6 payment, and it's 6 payments of $397 that will help you get rolling here. So instead of it being, it costs you a little bit more, but we're going to front that whole piece. You do the work, and your mastermind will be up and running inside of 90 days. It will take care of this. So you can click the button. It's 6 payments, $397, and you are in, and I will serve and support you to take the steps to get this done and to roll it out in your world. No ifs, no ands, no buts. Okay. Thank you, team. I truly appreciate that. Tyson Bangin, I think. I'm just unmuting you. How are you, my friend? Hello, hello. Hello, Tyson. I can hear some noise.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Gotcha. How are you, my friend?
Hi. I was just interested in a payment plan, but it looks like you've already solved that for me, so that's great.
Thank goodness for payment plans, and I'm glad that works. All good?
Yeah, I think that that's going to be very helpful. Thank you.
Hey, you are so welcome, and I am thrilled that that works for you. Okay, talk soon. I'm going to try and get to, we're running a little out of time here. Now, Richard Butler, I see you on the line, but you have a telephone that's grayed out. It says send pin, and it says send pin, which is hashtag 466 hashtag. So if you put in hashtag 466 hashtag, then I think that I can unmute you and we can have a chat. I'm happy to support in any way, shape, or form there. All right, see if I missed anyone. Bob Forrester, I can unmute. I'm just unmuting you, Bob. How are you, sir? Hello, Bob. Aloha, Bob. Bob. I don't think that we are getting through. Okay, Bob, I'm muting you again. Type a note if you want me to try and unmute you again. Christian Smith, I will unmute you momentarily here. How are you, Christian? Going once, going twice. I don't hear even background noise. Okay, my friends. So we are over time, and I do want to get this thing wrapped up. And I just want to say to you from the bottom of my heart, this process is a way to scale the contribution of your gift. And the steps and the process, please hear this. While there's a million little details to it that are important, there's a million little details to it. Once you get some experience with it and you see how the pieces fit, you can do this. You can 1000% do this. And I want everyone on this line who's remotely called to this to think about this from the perception of not what does it cost, but what is its value. And the value is it will change your life and your business. Almost 600% ROI, one group, 10 people, $97. And just do one of those, hell, for 6 months or 8 months to feel like you got it strong and grounded and you're on, much like what Carol was talking about. And at the end of that, then you're going to roll out another group and you're going to do that at $297. And once that's done, if you want to entertain the premium rule or the premium the premium arena, then roll out a premium offering. But let's be clear about this. This works at every single level, from the very beginner to the most advanced. And if you're already doing premium work and you want some additional coaching and tweaking and training to make sure that your retention is great, to make sure your value is great, then for goodness sakes, we all know that $19.97, if you're doing that work, is a joke. So please, if there's anything that has happened in the last couple of hours that resonates with you that, yes, I think it's time, then I want you to handle your story, make a commitment to yourself in alignment with your vision of contribution. Click the button. You can make whatever payments are necessary so that it fits for you. Know if you do the $19.97, it is the least expensive way to do it. You can do the 3 payments, cost you a little bit more. You can do the 6 payments, cost you a little bit more. But do what is necessary to get in the game. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you. I really appreciate your input. I appreciate your participation. I appreciate your engagement and your humor. And me and my team look forward to being of service. Have a fantastic day, and we will talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.